The Lundberg survey, which monitors prices nationwide. The San Francisco Bay Area topping the survey at $3.73 per gallon. Baton Rouge, Louisiana, the lowest at $2.45. Fox News, fair and balanced.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter, so all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
Manila, Osaka, Fukuoka.
Dreaming about your next vacation? With the FHB United Mileage Plus credit card, you can get 10% off on United Airlines flights from Guam to Manila, Osaka, or Fukuoka when you book your ticket by May 31. Book your flight on United.com at a United City ticket office or your local travel agency using promo code FHB18M. Visit FHB.com/United Fair Sale 18 for more details. Terms and conditions apply. First Hawaiian Bank, Equal Housing Lender, member FDIC.
Saturday is deadline day for President Trump to stay or withdraw from the Iran nuclear deal. Former independent Senator Joe Lieberman says it's time to get out.
It basically gave away all our leverage against them in return for a pause in their nuclear program, if they're keeping their word, which they don't have a good reputation for doing. And it gave them $100 billion, which they've used to support terrorists and to spread their rule throughout the Middle East.
Lieberman on Fox's Sunday Morning Future. Supporters say this deal is better than no deal. President Trump says he's open to working on a new agreement. The State Department condemning the arrests of nearly 1,600 anti-protesters, Putin protesters in Russia ahead of his swearing in tomorrow.
Amongst those detained was opposition leader Alexei Navalny, who organized the rallies. He addressed the crowd before being dragged away by police. Navalny is one of Putin's most vocal political opponents. He's been arrested several times before and was barred from standing as a candidate in the recent presidential election. Navalny is calling for people to take a stand against what he says is Putin's autocratic rule.
Fox's Kitty Logan. Tuesday marks 4 years since one of the greatest mysteries in the history of aviation began. Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 remains missing.
A search for wreckage in the Indian Ocean has been fruitless, but the unprecedented effort may help solve two older mysteries, the identities of two shipwrecks spotted during the search. Maritime historians now saying they believe one is a ship that vanished while sailing from England to India in 1883. But a full exploration looks unlikely. Western Australia Museum calling the wrecks some of the most remote in the world. Simon Owen, Fox News.
A final request and a final snub. Senate Republican John McCain doesn't want President Trump to attend his funeral. He reportedly wants Vice President Pence to be there instead. I'm Steve Rappaport, Fox News Radio.
Ready to buy real estate on Guam? Congratulations! But what now? There's so many questions, so many things to do. Where do you start? The best place to start is to call Century 21 Commonwealth Realty, Guam's biggest name in real estate. They aren't the best because they're the biggest. They're the biggest because they're the best. Trust the name. Find out why. Call Century 21 Commonwealth Realty today. 888-2121. Trust the best.
Chili's Smokehouse menu just got tastier with their new smoked honey chipotle short ribs, marinated and smoked for hours. Try the smoked honey chipotle short ribs and chicken combo, or enjoy the family combo with mouth-watering honey chipotle short ribs, Texas-sized baby back ribs, crispy chicken, and juicy barbecue chicken served with home-style French fries and corn on the cob. It's the Chili's Smokehouse menu, now with smoked honey chipotle short ribs, available for a limited time. Chili's, more life happens here.
The smartphone super sale event is back at GTA. We're dropping our prices on our most popular smartphones, including the Samsung Galaxy Note 8 and the latest Samsung Galaxy S9 and S9 Plus. Hurry in and save up to 60% off. These amazing deals won't last long, so come in and see us today. Conditions apply. Visit GTA.net for details. Offer ends May 31st. GTA. Your island, your network.
For more than 40 years, we've managed our island's most precious resource, your health. Take Care's benefit plans allow members access to more than 120 medical providers, 40 dental providers, and 18 pharmacies in the region. Take Care's health plans ensure members in Palau, Saipan, and Guam receive the care they deserve. Our programs and wellness classes have proven results for our valued members, and our commitment to your health never been stronger. Take Care, our island, your health plan.
Stop by any Circle K today and overload your For Real. It's simple. Pick out your favorite For Real shake, blend it, and then mix and match any 2 toppings for only $1. Overload your For Real with a variety of sweet treats like Oreo cookies, gummy bears, classic M&Ms or peanut M&Ms, and Reese's peanut butter cups. Simply add them to your For Real shake for an overload experience and enjoy. For Real Overload, only available at participating Circle Ks. Circle K, take it easy.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 8 minutes past 6 a.m. this Monday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. 30-year-old Benjamin Jesse Pablo of Talafofo arrested Friday night on sexual assault allegations. He was taken into custody following a chase during which one officer fired shots at the fleeing vehicle. Pablo is accused of sexually assaulting a woman at Ipan Beach Park last week on Tuesday and then stealing her car, a black Toyota Camry. GPD spokesman Sergeant Paul Tapau reports that Southern Precinct Command officers spotted the vehicle on Friday night in Talafofo. They tried to stop it, but the driver sped away, leading to the chase. Pablo lost control of the car, ran off the roadway, tried to reverse, and then hit a police car. That's when one officer fired shots at the vehicle. Pablo then fled on foot into the jungle, but he was caught. He's being held on multiple charges, including first-degree criminal sexual conduct, car theft, and eluding a police officer, driving without a driver's license. In other news, a pedestrian struck by a car on Saturday night died early Sunday morning from his injuries. The man was attempting to cross Route 16 in Harmon near the Iglesia Ni Cristo Church when he was hit by a silver Toyota RAV4. It happened about 7 p.m. Saturday evening. He was rushed to GRMC where he died shortly after midnight yesterday. The driver of the RAV4, who did not want to be named, told the Guam Daily Post at the scene that the area was dark and he didn't see the man until it was too late. GPD's Highway Patrol Division is investigating. This was the 7th traffic-related fatality of the year on Guam's roads. We'll have more news after this.
What would you do with unlimited internet? With Docomo Pacific, the possibilities are endless. Docomo Pacific is throwing off the data caps so you can enjoy more of the things you love. Watch, stream, download, and play with no end in sight. Stop by any of our stores or check out DocomoPacific.com to learn more. Life becomes limitless with Docomo Pacific. Better together.
With the largest inventory of rental equipment on Guam, East West Rental Center is sure to have the tool you need to get your job finished quickly. From equipment rental, party rental, parts and service to used equipment, East West Rental Center has what you need. Call East West Rental Center at 646-1463 or visit them online and browse through their online rental catalog at eastwestrental.com. They're located in Upper Tumon, right across St. John's School. East West Rental Center, providing the island of Guam with quality equipment rentals since 1972.
10 minutes past 6 a.m. here at The Point. A team from the U.S. Justice Department's Drug Enforcement Administration was on Guam last week to determine whether the Marianas should be designated a high-intensity drug trafficking area under the DEA's HIDTA program. Currently, 28 areas of the U.S. have been declared high-intensity drug trafficking areas. Such a designation qualifies the region for additional federal funding, manpower, and material support to combat drug trafficking. Guam has been plagued for years by a crystal meth epidemic, and we've recently seen an escalation in other drugs, including cocaine, 6 pounds of which have washed up on our shores in 2 separate incidents in recent months. James McDonald, the newly appointed deputy director at the Department of Corrections, attended the meeting last Wednesday at the U.S. Attorney's Office in Agana. He was instrumental in arranging the visit. McDonald said the HIDTA team were mostly interested in seeing statistical data on drug-related arrests and drug seizures on island if Guam is recognized as a high-intensity drug trafficking area. McDonald said the HIDTA team indicated that additional federal funding might be available to local law enforcement agencies before the end of the year. Hawaii last week passed legislation banning the sale of sunscreen containing chemicals believed to be harmful to coral reefs. The legislation would prohibit the distribution of those sunscreens containing the chemicals oxybenzone and octinoxate, which are key ingredients in protecting skin from the damaging effects of the sun, but some scientists say they also contribute to coral bleaching. The Consumer Healthcare Products Association has called the ban prohibitive. They represent leading manufacturers and marketers. They issued a statement saying the ban poses a threat to the health, safety, and welfare of millions of Hawaii residents and tourists. Similar legislation is not yet under consideration here on Guam. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Ray now with the weather.
Says here, partly sunny skies and isolated showers. There's northeast winds up to about 20 miles an hour today, decreasing a bit overnight. Highs about 89 degrees and overnight lows of about 79 degrees. Sunrise this morning was at 5:57. Sunset tonight about 6:37. Well, I've got the gizmo up here. Let me see if I can put up the weather map here and get a synopsis view from an actual weather guy. Michael Knight, what's the map say?
Well, if you can see that big blob up to right under the point logo, that is 97W Invest. That's a forming tropical disturbance, but it's supposed to cruise off to the northeast. And then over to the lower left part of the screen, you see a little more disturbed weather and all along the bottom there. This is all part of a big trough,
weather,
man.
Very unhappy. Just it's been harassed weather, right?
Yeah, it's all part of a big monsoon trough, and this one little blob just south of here may move up in the next day or so. The timing is what's going to be important.
So is it going to rain, I guess, is the question.
I think so. But the Weather Service, their forecast last night held out that this trough was going to weaken as it moved north and kind of peter out before it really gives us much rain.
Okay.
I'm not so certain. We'll see.
Yeah, so it's a battle of the forecast minds here. We'll watch what happens over the next few days. It might be a good idea to have an umbrella handy, though. That's the point. Is it might rain. It's clear right now, but even this morning there were some passing showers and some light stuff falling all over the place. 6:13 in the morning. That's news and weather together. Brought to you by Bank Pacific, where others put branches, they place roots.
From September 17 to September 19, 2018. The Archdiocese of Agana will be conducting settlement conferences with victims of clergy abuse. If you have a claim and want to meaningfully participate in the September settlement conferences, call Hope and Healing Guam at 1-888-649-5288 before August 1st, 2018. All conversations with Hope and Healing Guam are confidential. If you have filed a lawsuit against the Archdiocese, you are already included in this settlement process.
Portions of the program brought to you by King's Restaurant. For 40 years, they've been serving all of your favorites to families just like yours, and they're going to keep doing it. They're not locking the doors. Always open, always local. We're talking about King's Restaurant.
Don't wait another day and waste another dollar. You can start saving today. At Guahan Insurance Services, we are here to help protect your investment and save you money. We offer insurance advising for business, car, and home insurance. So come and visit us at our new office at Camacho Landmark Center at Marine Corps Drive in Tamuning, and let us show you that you can count on us for all your insurance needs. Call 475-1162.
The slivers of the program also brought to you by Security Title, when you absolutely need confidentiality in your real estate transactions.
Hey, it's your stomach again. Subway has all new signature wraps, and around the water cooler, the other stomachs can't stop talking about them. Chipotle Southwest Steak and Cheese, turkey, bacon, and guac, rotisserie-style chicken Caesar signature wraps. Listen, if I'm honest, as a talking stomach, I don't have a lot of life experience. But I do know one thing. These signature wraps are jam-packed with meat. So what are you waiting for? I'm growling over here. Subway, make it what you want.
The Ray Gibson Show. Morning talk that matters. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Where to start? How do you get started on a morning like this? Well, let me try to do this the way I think my old man would appreciate it. And unfortunately, we're minus one viewer, one listener here this morning. Early Friday morning, I got word that my father had passed away. But I tell you what, over the weekend, Faith and so many friends and so many people that have reached out to me to express their condolences, that counts for a lot.
He was a wonderful man. I remember him so well, and we're deeply sorry for the loss.
Well, I do appreciate it, and he wouldn't want me to linger on it too much, but I will again say thanks very much, an opportunity to say thank you very much to everybody that has reached out to Shelley and I and Rebecca and Terry. There will be a memorial down the road. They're putting the plans together for that right now, and as soon as that happens, we'll get all of the details and all of the invitations out in all of the usual places. So welcome to the morning show. Welcome to the Ray Gibson Show on The Point. My name is Ray Gibson. Great to be sharing the microphones and the airways with Kevin Kerrigan from the Guam Daily Post. And that voice that we heard earlier on the weather, that's Michael Knight.
It would be very odd if your name were Bob Smith.
But, you know, I got to tell you, can you, over the weekend, there was an event that I was looking forward to attending. So I, despite everything, made sure that I was a part of the 94th anniversary gala celebration for the Chamber of Commerce.
All right.
And normally, you know, we just there's a couple of different voices that we use for the annotation leading up to, you know, the big reveal for NANBO and their anniversary and the fact that they are the business laureates for the year. And it was kind of a delight. It actually sounded like doing the radio show. Yeah, there was a couple of announcements that I made, and then it went to your voiceover for NANBO. And it absolutely sounded great. So you did a good job on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I drank a beer for you. That was how you were going to get ready.
Yeah, I did not have a beer yesterday. I have no idea why. I went bowling yesterday.
Wait, stop right there. Okay, go ahead.
Yep, I'm not a bowler. I'm not really a bowler. But I thought, you know, I got to get my fat butt up and start moving around a little bit. So I went up there and did some bowling, did some stretching. Fell down a couple times. It was fun. Averaged about 120. Which is not bad for a guy who doesn't bowl very much.
No, it's not terrible.
But I feel like I played in a Sandlot football game.
Bowling is like sex. You don't have to be good at it to enjoy it.
No. You just have to look like you're having fun.
Nice. So where'd you go? Where was bowling?
The Central Lane's here, just right down the street. And so, but I kind of feel like I played in a Sandlot football game yesterday now.
So a little ragged, huh?
Yeah, that's okay, though.
Did they not have beer?
Not at that hour. I was there early Sunday, 1 o'clock. No, it was not open. It didn't open till 5:30.
Shouldn't stop you.
Yeah,
bring your own next time.
Well, I started to next time.
So what was the score?
You said about 120.
Yeah, I averaged about 120. Yeah, I did. The first game was about a 95. And then I got up about 140 on the next game. And third game, I was kind of tired, so I got bowled
that's
about
just brute strength bowling. You were just throwing the ball down the lane.
Pretty
just
much,
trying to get close to the center, and that's about an average score.
There's no form to my bowling.
Well, that's all right. That's all right. So now I want to ask Kevin if he attended this. There were bunch of things going on Saturday night. You know, the Chamber Gala, and then one of the other events sponsored by the Guam Daily Post was the first annual Excellence in Culinary Arts and Restaurant Awards. And so I got to ask, did you go?
No, I did not.
It was your newspaper's thing. Did they not invite you? Did they not say everybody except the news guys?
Occasionally, I have to sleep.
Do you? I don't know. I was going to ask you if you had anything to eat and what kind of an affair it was, but we'll get around to that. Maybe somebody else from the Post will call in and chime in and talk about it, because I've seen some of the pictures. Leland Feng has posted up about a zillion pictures of the food and the people that were there, and I kept going through them. Where's that Kevin guy? What's up with him? 20 after 6 o'clock in the morning as we make our way through Monday. Is it? We're doing that again? We made it all the way to Monday. And as you might imagine, as usual on Mondays, there's just a ton of stuff that is piled up from over the weekends when we didn't actually do a morning show that we get to go through here today, and just a little bit of the table of contents as I punch through some of the issues. I don't know which one is going to be sticky. You know, I think there's still a lot that is coming out of that whole Chamorro Land Trust Commission land management deal up in Barragata Heights. And I guess the new thing now is Senator Frank Uggan has sent a letter to the U.S. EPA and trying to get some attention on this deal. He's looking for citations. Somebody needs to get written up for the missteps on the land clearing. It was done some kind of handshake deal between DPW and the EPA and whoever and the Land Trust Commission. So all of a sudden you got that going on, and what will happen next? And so the EPA, U.S. EPA, Dean Higuchi says, yeah, you know what, we got it, and the people you need to be talking to are on Guam, and nobody seems to be doing a whole lot of talking over there. Now, this is the way my brain is beginning to work on this particular issue, and I'll quote Chris Barnett, yeah, it's hookups, babe. It's hookups. So here's the next question, and somebody's got to do some genealogy on this to figure out whose name on what lists might be attached. And I'm serious. We need to get Malia. Get Rodriguez out and have him look over the names on the list and say, yeah, this guy is related to so-and-so is related to that guy, and that's how we got the hookups going. So here's what's happening in my head is the Guam EPA, is it possible that there are people from Guam EPA whose names are on the Barragata Heights list? Is that why maybe nobody has been cited yet? And normally I would not move in that direction. You know me, I'm not a conspiratorial-hearted kind of guy. I'm not one of those bomb throwers, but in this case, based on what we've seen, would you be surprised if there was that kind of silence emanating from someplace because somebody's name was on? And I'm not good at relations. I'm not. I'll tell you what. I'm the last guy. You want to talk to me about who I'm related to. Never mind who everybody else might. You got to talk to Shelley. Shelley knows all of that stuff. Yeah. Ray doesn't know that stuff. That's because I don't go to all of the funerals and the weddings like she does. So I'm not up on who's related to who's married to who's had kids with who, all of that stuff. So is it possible? You never know. Somebody's going to have to take a look at that and see. I'm just throwing it out there as a possibility. Now, one of the things that came up in the conversation last week in the investigations is that so-and-so, trying to remember the names because there seem to be so many of them now, so-and-so was able to swap deeds with somebody else. Just Borja. Somebody Borja was able to swap paperwork with somebody, applications with somebody else, Borja, and they swapped the dates. And now I guess Bob Klitsky has looked at that and said, there's nothing in the rules that says you can do that.
And nothing in the rules that says you can. No rules.
Yeah, so apparently we've got to close a bunch of gaps here in order to make this as fair and equitable to everybody. So when is that going to happen? I don't know. I know that Frank can have his hearing on what's happening with the Department of Public Works. That's one of the things that he can do. I think he's still holding out that maybe Senator Tom Adam might want to do something with an oversight of the actual Chamorro Land Trust Commission. 623. So there's that. Another story, I don't know if you caught it over the weekend. Police pulled a guy over. I think it was a headlight issue. And discovered, this is getting so commonplace anymore, it's almost hardly worth mentioning, and discovered, lo and behold, ice in the car. Something they've presumptively tested positive for ice. And okay, I'm not an ice guy. Yeah, I'm not an ice head, right? Just never. The idea of doing something like that and getting myself landed into that kind of trouble and the hell that their lives are, and that's the craziest thing of all. Is you hear about all of these guys and their problems with ice and their problems with drugs and their newfound relationship with the criminal justice system. You would think that there would not be a market for that. You'd think that would be the last thing that anybody would want to gravitate towards, right?
Maybe they like the free selfies.
Give me a beer, let's have and maybe if you want to smoke a little dope or whatever. But you look at the people that have got ice in their life and the challenges. Oh my God! But anyway, so the police officers doing regular old police work, pull this guy over, and they got another ice head. But the question that I have is just how dangerous is it to have guys that have smoked ice at any time, I guess in the last 24 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours? How dangerous is that on the road? I mean, are they any more or less a danger on the road than sleepy drivers or distracted drivers or drunk drivers?
I'd put them all in the same category, wouldn't you?
Well, are they better drivers because they're amped up and wide awake?
I would doubt it.
They can see.
I don't think that improves your
driving 20
ability.
Cars down the road. I mean, when you're on ice, can you predict the light? lights, so that this one is yellow and it's going to be red and that one's going to be green.
The problem
I can
is
see the
that
green lights all the way down.
when you're on ice, everything you see is
Yeah, baby.
so, hey, whoa.
Look at me. I can hear color now. This is amazing stuff. There's just something that pops in my head. Are they more or less? Is it another charge that we can give them? So you got a busted taillight and you got a no driver's license and you were high on ice, and that means that, can we add that as anher category of penalty?
Judgment is impaired, I'm sure.
I got to find out from
not
the guy.
speaking from experience.
No, of course not. No, absolutely not. But I just like to find out what kind of impairment do you get on something like that. So pay attention. We'll watch and see. Now they're making another big deal about. I guess Jay Rojas was over at the legislature. This is another trip that Gita got to take over to the legislature. And B.J. Cruz is asking about mileage, and I guess based on their read and this is going to be one of those. Forget about anything else Gita's doing, right or wrong. The big deal now is whether or not they're giving the appropriate number of miles to the mileage program in the government of Guam. And maybe we'll get around to that. Let's see if we can get Jay on the line. I actually wanted to talk to Jay about something else. They're trying to find that $9.2 million for the birthing center, so they've reissued the RFP on that. But anyway, so I'm thinking about that, but maybe we'll talk about the mileage program. What is it, 26 million miles?
It was, yeah. We did some stories on that a couple of months back.
Right. So I think that's the number now. I think it's still up around 26 million miles that they've got in the account. So it's not as though, if Jay Rojas and the guys over at Gita gave everything, it would like double or triple it or something. I don't think. But still in all, that's a lot of mileage in the account, and maybe we need to be using it more. Maybe we've got to get some more of these guys out. Now this is a legitimate. It's not Ray Gibson goofing off and having a good time on somebody else's trouble question. The legitimate question: can we use those dollars to deport criminals that we don't like? No, I'm serious. No, I'm totally serious, right? Because the governor's doing that every chance he gets. We get guys over at the Department of Corrections that have worn out their welcome here, and they are abiding by the rules and all of that stuff. Can we use the mileage to set them up?
I believe the law is pretty specific that it can only be used for medical and educational purposes.
They'll learn a lesson when we kick them out. There's your education right there. I'm serious, but is it possible? Because there's a lot of those guys, more and more, that we are hearing about that are causing trouble and really need to be sent back to where it is that they come from. And if we've got the additional miles in there, and if we're not using them for anything else, then let's go ahead and use it for that. Anyway, so there's that. You get the drug deal, and we'll get around to yakking about some of this other stuff. DEA, in a story that Kevin reported just a few minutes ago, they've got agents heading to Guam to, I guess they're going to go beach combing and see if they can scoop up some more of that hand-wrapped cocaine.
They were here and they left.
Oh, that fast?
That was the team. They were here last week, and they asked a lot of questions, looking for statistics on drug seizures and arrests, and they may designate us high-intensity
drug trafficking area.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a distinction we'd
We'll
like.
have to wait and find out.
All right. Any indications on how long it will take for them to make that kind of decision?
A couple of months.
How much money will we get?
We don't know yet.
That's it. At the end of the day, that becomes one of the big questions. Is this something where we can make a couple of extra bucks around here? 888-8255 is the telephone number. Again, that is 888-8255. I see Jim Tillman is there, and Lee Stolley. John Wigston is, I owe you a phone call there, John. Carl Pangolina, that's the one with a K. Ikeseki. Andre Bainham. Lou Sanchez. Good morning. Nice to see you there. Elwin Quitano. Levon Guerrero, Roy Burgess, Lillian Cruz. Hi, Valerie Lynn. We might talk to your boss this morning. There's Lillian, Eric, Deborah Wise. Aloha from Hawaii. Coming back to Guam. That's nice. Bring some lava with you. Bring some lava. That's the big story in Hawaii is all of the... Have you been following that? Because it seems to me that's the kind of thing that you would be, because it's the lava flows and the earthquakes.
Anything to do with
Mother
natural
Nature.
Science.
Yeah, and that's it. Boy, I was watching... It was something on Facebook, and somebody had just posted a picture of some video footage. And it's not something that we haven't seen before back in the old days when Kilauea was on the move. You know, you got here's the town, and then there's another there. That's where the town was, right? And here's the road, and the road used to go all the way into that direction yonder, and now it's stopped. I've actually been to the head. Of one of those lava flows back in the olden days, and it was one of those things. You drive for an hour to get out there, and you get out of the car, and you look at this vast expanse. But it's just so odd because the vast expanse literally starts at the edge of a road.
It starts right there,
and there's the streets, and there's a sign, and there's a sidewalk, and then there is it's primal. It's just this is what the Earth looked like when it started to cool. So it'd be good to have you back. Cousin Tommy Barcinas is there, and there's Greg Massey. Who we did try to get a hold of last week, right? Okay, so Greg, we might try again this morning. Kaylia from the Congresswoman's office, and there's just must be 100 people watching the program already this morning. Be one of them. Go to Facebook on the World Wide Web and thepoint.gu. Like the page, follow the page, and that way every single morning when we light up the cameras, you'll get a note that will remind you to check in and see what's going on around here. 6:31 in the morning, and time for headlines from the Guam Daily Post. Here's Kevin Kerrigan.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. In the headlines from the Guam Daily Post this morning, the A.B. Wonpat International Airport Authority has agreed to a substantial reduction in the monthly rent paid by Lotte Duty Free Guam in an effort to prevent the concessionaire from abandoning the airport retail space it now occupies and stave off the threat of defaulting on the millions of dollars the airport has borrowed from bondholders to fund the airport's current renovation project. During a hearing Friday in Superior Court, former concessionaire DFS Guam countered that GIAA had entered into a secret clandestine agreement that amounts to a massive giveaway to Lotte at the expense of Guam taxpayers. The airport wants the decision that was issued by Judge Barcinas in February stayed while it appeals the case to the Supreme Court of Guam in hopes of overturning it. DFS wants the decision revised to set a date for Lotte's exit from the airport. The arguments capped a series of hearings during the past week over the airport's request for a freeze on that February 5th order issued by Judge Barcinas. During a mediation conducted over the past 2 months, the airport had agreed to a $175,000 reduction in the monthly rental fee Lotte pays to the airport for the retail space it occupies. That amounts to an annual loss of $2.1 million in income for the airport authority. Take Care has appealed the Department of Administration's dismissal of its procurement protest to the Office of Public Accountability. The health insurer is challenging the procurement's requirement that Guam Regional Medical City Hospital be included in the network of any bidder who wants to become the exclusive provider of health insurance for the more than 11,000 GovGuam employees and 5,000 retirees and their families. In a statement Friday, Take Care President and CEO Joseph Husline said they've asked the OPA to remove the requirement that the private hospital be included in the bid to qualify for the health insurance contract. Husline said that requirement restricts competition, and he calls it a violation of Guam law. 4 male minors, 1 male adult taken into custody late Friday afternoon as the JFK High School Islanders celebrated a day at the school, but it ended in a riot. Teachers, staff, and school resource officers responded to the incident and called police. Guam DOE said no students were injured during the incident. The 5 individuals who were arrested and charged, they were charged for rioting, disorderly conduct, and assault. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
iConnect time is 6:34. Connect longer for less with iConnect's push-to-talk mobile and internet plans.
In this divided world, there are still a few things that unite us. The thrill of an exciting championship game.
Fires to the end zone.
The sound of great music.
The Grammy goes to...
And the love we have for that perfect burger. Ruby Tuesday Guam presents to you For the Love of Burgers menu. For a limited time, we want you to put down that fork, tuck that napkin in your collar, and go for broke with an amazing burger for just $11.99. 8 burgers to try, and time isn't wasting. Ruby Tuesday Guam lunchtime. See you soon.
Traffic Gizmo's not showing anything this morning, so I assume that everybody is sleeping in because everybody had 20 million things to do on Saturday and Sunday, and that's all there is to it. I'm not getting out of bed until Wednesday. It'll pick up a little bit later on. Like I said, not seeing anything. Traffic might be building in some of the usual spots. There were some early morning overnight showers, so watch out for wet road conditions wherever you happen to be. Right now, traffic on the point.
Did you know over 80% of all vision impairments can be prevented or cured? Naval Academy and Johns Hopkins University graduate Dr. Peter Lombard has performed thousands of sight-saving procedures in Guam since 2010. He specializes in cataract surgery and can treat your diabetic eye disease, glaucoma, and much more. From simple vision exams to complex surgery, Lombard Health proudly accepts all insurance. Call today to book an appointment at 989-4747. Guam's best eye care, one patient at a time.
The Ray Gibson Show, your new News Talk headquarters. Call now, 888-TALK. That's 888-8255.
Fast. 888-8255 is the telephone number here on this radio station. Is there something out there that you want to talk about? Is there something that you maybe have pondered? It's sad to report that there seems to be another auto pedestrian fatality here. Out on the dark streets out there. And I don't know all of the details surrounding this particular accident, but I will say, just as a casual user of Guam's roadways, I got to tell you that it's dark out there. And what happens from time to time is, in a lot of places, there are no sidewalks, which will make it crazy. And then there's the other part of it where you've got people walking down these dark streets, not on a sidewalk, wearing dark clothes. And you can't see them until you're almost on them. And it's one of those things. I think we've got to get ourselves into the habit maybe of spending some more money. We'll get that dough that the recycling revolving fund. We'll get some more of that traffic dough and see if we can support some additional lights out there. Just curious. Watch out. Be careful. And if you're one of those folks, one of those pedestrians, just note, chances are we might not be able to see you as we're driving down the road. 6:37. Good morning, Marie.
Hi, good morning, Ray. I'm calling you from Saipan.
What are you doing there?
Oh, my gosh. Well, we had a long day yesterday. It was the last flight out of Saipan for Delta.
Oh.
And, yeah, it was very long, emotional, and so forth. But I wanted to call in and chat with you about the Vita issue.
Sure.
Poor Jay has been raked over the coals, and I just wanted to make sure that there was some clarification there with what in my opinion, has been going on. So I'm really just offering my personal perspective on it. And
well, let me identify you correctly. It's Marie Lizama from Delta.
Yeah.
There.
Yes. And so anyway, well, I came back from the States on Saturday, opened the paper and saw the headline and kind of read with it. And while there's truth to what has been said, I just think that there needs to be some clarification that's made. So I think there's confusion over two different issues here. But first and foremost, Delta partnered with Bank of Guam, and there was our co-brand card. If I'm not mistaken, the product was not offered to corporate customers. So of course, if anyone from the government was taking a Delta flight, there was no corporate card that was used to purchase, tickets.
Right.
That were not, not purchased by CAs. So of course, that thing wasn't in place, and therefore, I believe that's why their ticket purchases, the mileage is not able to be returned to the government. The other thing to say, when this whole thing first started with the law, it was Van Northwest. One point in time they had approached Northwest. It was Van Northwest, and then of course Delta, and so the issue on the Northwest Delta side was we had no program in place like our competitor that allowed for the pooling of miles, so from individuals. So the only exception to that being nonprofit organizations that were identified through our our Air Cares program.
Right, and of which the government of Guam is not currently a nonprofit agency.
Right. So we met with then Speaker Wontat, because she was concerned about the whole thing. There was a law that was introduced, and we also met with some members of DOA. And so what came out from that whole discussion was that, so I think there was talk about if someone did not turn in the miles that they accumulated, mind you, that's totally separate from the credit card purchase, the miles garnered from the purchase itself. So whatever they accrued on the individual side, there was while there was talk of letting them pay back the government for having kept the miles, DOA admitted that there was no way that they could legally impose that or enforce that.
Sure.
So you couldn't go back and do a payroll deduction, for the miles that were capped, whatever the value was determined to be.
Yeah.
So that was the whole issue. So then, so that whole thing is just totally separate because it sounds like it's being confused with, Jay's keeping the miles for himself, the credit card, or because of the lack of a Delta credit card, co-branded credit card. And, but at the same time, you've got to ask, the poor guy, his total amount in his account probably includes some personal trips.
Oh, I'm sure it does. He had a life before he was at Gita.
Trips that he had taken back in the Northwest days. And because even our competitor has that where it's like you're a lifetime member, so forth. But that was for trips years ago. They've taken, note of that and so forth. So I think there needs, whether or not in today's world, so what's happening is some of the agencies, let's face it, the employees are keeping the miles that they that they accumulate from their individual travel.
Mm-hmm.
But whether or not that's right, that's something that the lawmakers need to kind of address. There are smaller agencies that I know people who work at smaller agencies that say, oh, but we are required to turn it in. So obviously there's some kind of gap, in between.
In who does and who does not. Now, the explanation, as I read it, was that it was very simple. As you point out, they didn't have a credit card. They weren't making the purchases. If it was on Delta, they weren't able to make a purchase on a credit card. They didn't have it, and even if they did, it was not a part of that program. So you could not just take the mileage and dump it into an account all whole. It's not the way that program worked. So if they went to a travel agency, Ray Gibson's travel agency, I'd write them the ticket. We'd send out the e-tickets, and then Jay Rojas would go jet set someplace else. The mileage would stay with Gita because, from what I'm hearing, there's no mechanism to take that mileage out and move it into an account from there, apparently.
Right. Well, actually, it wouldn't even remain with Gita because whatever the purchase is, there's simply nothing in place that allows for mileage credit for the purchase. Now, if I don't know about.
Well, here, let me. I'm just getting this from Carl, who was at Gita at the time. He says the law was pretty clear. I donated Gita earned mileage to the Azuta Foundation. Had nothing to do with a credit card purchase.
Right. Okay, but then again, that's the other thing was so there was no way to do that on Delta, and so Delta's being mentioned here, but I'm just saying that there was no way to do that on Delta because we didn't have a mechanism in place to be able to pool individual miles.
Was not Azuta Foundation a Delta approved mileage beneficiary? That's what Carl says.
No, it was. We had asked. We met with the Azuta Foundation, and we had asked about that. We were trying to get them included. And that's when they even went so far as to admit that they were sitting on so many miles that they were accumulating faster than they could even use the miles, for the people that need them.
Huh.
So no, they were not part of.
Then the question, it begs the question: what happened to Carl's mileage? He thinks he donated it to Azuta Foundation through Delta.
No, I'm going to go back and look at that, but no, we had asked, we had asked about that because, and compared to the hometown carrier, we didn't, I guess the mileage wasn't significant enough, and just simply because of availability of flights and so forth. We had one flight that really connected to the mainland and so forth. So,
I tell you what, I'm more confused now than I was at the beginning of the conversation. So if it has nothing to do with the credit cards, that's one thing. But if now we've got a former director that says, I was donating mileage, but now it doesn't sound like the mileage went anywhere. So where was all of the Carl Pangilinan mileage?
I don't know. I suppose I need to, go ahead and begin. But no, we've had nothing in place that, like I said, would allow for the pooling of individual miles. So we were always out of that discussion, but so I don't know, and that's why I had to call in and say, okay, I think
so they could individually, if he wanted to, make a donation to the Azuda Foundation, but in terms of being overall GITA and then pooling all of the mileage from all of the trips, that was something that could not be done.
Now you're, I need to clarify, no, there was no way, because, like I said, you could make, if you looked at our in-flight magazine, there are certain highlighted or specified organizations to which you can donate. So if Azuda was not part of that, then there was no way really that the individual miles could have gone, to them. So no.
Now the question I've got is how'd they manage to rack up 26 million miles? Because it doesn't sound like it must have done all of that with United and Continental back in the day.
You mean Azuda?
Whatever the account is. I guess it's a Azuda Foundation. The tickets for Angels, or
so you also have to remember that when an individual travels frequently, then it's not so the million miles are not necessarily just all flight related. It could be, well, I have hotel partners, I have car partners.
Right.
If I am an elite member, then I accumulate, for example, 25% more, 50% more, and so forth. So all that adds to the balance, of the account. And then as I pointed out earlier, if that person has taken personal trips, and so forth.
On top of that, how do you separate the personal miles from the corporate travel?
Right. Or if Jay himself had a Delta credit card or a Delta American Express, then the purchases from those cards would go to his individual mileage account.
And it would be up to him then to be able to figure out how to take those miles and then transfer them, if it were possible, to the Azuda Foundation through Delta. And you're saying that can't be done.
Yeah. Right. So
the mileage is held by the Department of Administration, and it's accumulated through charges made on Government of Guam issued credit cards.
Exactly.
Period.
Okay. Yeah. So like I said before, we continue to rake the poor guy over the coals. Let's figure, let's kind of like get to the bottom of it, and that's certainly for some.
It sounds like we've got some gaps that we've got to cover.
Yeah, and like I said, so I can guarantee you that there are, for every J, there are so many others that are elite members on our competitor, that have probably higher statuses.
Let's let me switch subjects here. And talk about, as you said over the weekend, the last flight out of the Marianas from Delta, huh?
Yeah. So that was very that was emotional. Here in Saipan, as with Guam, of course the staff. Well, the staff first and foremost, they're vendor employees. But I tell you, Ray, it was very emotional. A lot of these people, they didn't get their paycheck, from Delta. They were really vendor employees, but oh my gosh, they were so heartbroken to see that last flight take off. And I tell you, as with, I think, most other businesses, you'll find that, in the smaller areas, a lot of the employees, they really take part, in that company's, what do you call that?
Hey, listen, you know the airline game. Everybody's a lifer, right? After you've been in, regardless of where you are in the pecking order or on the airline totem pole. I mean, if that's your gig, that's your gig. And United people are just like that, and Delta people are just like that. So I mean, you're the lifer from around here. What are you going to end up doing?
Well, currently working out of home, and so then I'll eventually retire. Probably at the end of the month.
Mm-hmm.
Bittersweet. Yeah, so I'm here, and I don't know. Maybe I'll go into teaching.
Well, be a director. Maybe there's something in the travel agency business. Go talk to one of the guys. They know you know how to write a ticket.
Oh my gosh, Ray! We were just talking about how fun it was back then. I think technology certainly has made everything easier. Easier as far as getting the work done.
As a child of a travel agent, I tell you what, the industry has changed over quite drastically. But you're never going to bring back those magical jet set days. Marie, I'm going to run. I'll talk to you soon, and I'm sure Jay will appreciate the telephone call and the backup.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't need me to fight for him, but I just wanted to make sure that there was that clarification. And if one of the lawmakers wants to take up, this issue and kind of straighten everything out, so be it.
Well, BJ might be in touch when you get back, so don't change numbers.
Yeah, poor Carl Pangolinan. I don't know where he gave his miles to, but yeah,
Well, his last response to me was, "Lan, yeah, I got it."
Yeah.
Yep, that's the way it is. I'll talk to you pretty soon, Marie Lizama, who is going to soon to be former Delta employee. They've made their last bunch of flights out of the CNMI, and for some people, that's the end of an era, and for others, a sign of some hard times to come. But there's still ways to get in and out of town, and the guys over at United are talking about the capabilities of jet flight in the next couple. When were they supposed to be doing that? This month, wasn't it? Where they were going to be flying, sorting out the jets between here and Saipan? I'm trying to remember. A lot in my head, but I'm trying to remember what it was that they said.
You mean
about
the cancellation of
the
service and the new?
Yes, the cancellation of the existing service, and then taking on launching with the 737 between here and Saipan. You remember?
I want to say June 1st is when they're
going to be starting to do something like that. And still a lot of questions on that one. And I lined up a conversation with Sam over at United, and the only thing he'd love to talk to you about it. Well, be able to talk about the service and hours and what you're going to do and all of this other. And then I thought, well, okay, can you tell me what the price is? I can't talk about that. It's the one thing I cannot talk about it. That's the question that everybody is going to have.
We could look it up
in their head. What's it going to cost to get up there? And then there was the other fun, just kind of Ray Gibson lark thing that I wanted to do, which was get one of the guys on the line, like a Brad Rizal or somebody up in Saipan, or one of the dudes over at the Visitors Bureau, because now we're flying a jet up to Saipan. But here's the thing. If you're taking the jet up to Saipan, unless you're going to be coming back down on somebody else, that's an overnight trip. It's only one flight every day. So the plane goes up, and it empties out the passengers, and you go off and you do something. Now, there's people here who only fly up for the day, leaving the first flight in the morning, and they're back in time for happy hour. That's their whole lives. And you might not know about some of the other fun things to do, the other interesting things to do up in Saipan, the very classy places to go hang out there in Middle Road. What'd you find?
United will replace Cape Air service effective June 1st with a once-a-day jet service from Guam to Saipan. The flight will not stop on Rota.
According to faircompare.com, that will cost you $270.
What's it going for? $270 for the one way, or is that round trip? Is that the round trip?
That's one. Let's see. That's round trip.
Man, who's got the remembers? Who remembers back in the day? I want to say it was like $75 round trip, and it was jet service. I'm sure I'm getting this wrong. I'm sure my memory is clouded by something.
They fly you from Honolulu to Kona for like $80,
right?
You know, same
Round
distance
trip.
basically.
Exactly, but you know, it's always different for us out here. But I remember back in the old days, that used to be something you'd sit around on Friday at 4:30 and go, "Hey, what do you want to do this weekend? Oh, let's go Saipan."
Yeah, there you go.
And so you'd gather up your friends and you'd go to the bank and grab a couple $100, and you get on an airplane, and pretty soon you're in Saipan, and pretty soon you've spent every penny that you brought back with you. I mean, it was for us. It was like going to Cocos and hanging out for the weekend down there. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that for $270 a head, and then now it has to include hotel accommodations because you are going to have to overnight with somebody, or if you've got an office up there, as my old man used to do, there was a cot in that office. Then because oftentimes he'd go up there for a trip.
Are there any cheap hotels left in Saipan? I mean, now with that burgeoning casino business, I imagine everybody has answered the call.
So this is what I will try to set up. This is what I will work on setting up. We'll need to do a fam trip.
There we go.
We'll need to take the entire morning show up to Saipan and the CNMI and do it by the numbers. We'll get on the airplane. We'll shoot video that we can play on the Facebook Live, and then after that we'll do the tour. We'll do the show from up there, right? And then we'll go and do the tour. And see all of these places. You know, we go to Suicide Mountain, the Suicide Cliff, and Olei Beach Bar on a Taco Tuesday or something. And there's two or three. A friend of mine was going up there, and she basically asked on Facebook, "What's there to do?" And then boom, everybody just do this, do that, do the other, and make sure that you stop by and bring down some ice keki and Herman's bread. Even though I'm pretty sure you can get Herman's bread over at Payless, and ice keki. No, it's got to be from up there. The Japanese guy over by the old DFS. That's where you get that stuff. Anyway, so that's interesting. We brought up a couple of times Hawaii this morning in the conversation because Big Island has got the lava flows going, the eruptions and the earthquakes, and then there's another story that comes out of Hawaii that I found to be interesting, and I'm kind of curious the way it was framed in the story in the. It's not in this one. I think it's in one of the other ones. But it's interesting the way it was framed is the state of Hawaii now. I guess they passed a law that
banning certain sunscreens.
Yeah, banning sunscreens with a couple of
certain kinds of sunscreens
because they're worried that it's contributing to the bleaching of the corals and all of that. So they're saying, okay, we can't have this. And headline asks, when is Guam going to catch up? And I'm going, wait a second, hold on, catch up. Are we sure that this is something we want to do? Is what's going to happen now is we're not going to be able to sell, and this is a concern from the guys obviously on the other side of the ban, the guys with the sunscreen. They're saying, but everybody's going to get cancer now. Yeah. Well, never mind the corals and the fish. Everybody's going to get cancer, and so I'm looking at the legislation. I'm looking at the story, and I've already lined up the 2 or 3 people over at the legislature. They're going to lose the election. They're going to start coming up with this kind of stuff. Is that something that we need to get in the middle of? I'll put that down because it's going to happen. I'll tell you right now. Somebody will introduce similar legislation here. We're going to go through the debate on sunscreen and the oceans, and we're going to have to bring in the scientists and the environmentalists and all of that. And there's going to be this one big battle. But the question that I will ask here and now in the very beginning is: have we solved all of the other problems yet? Have we taken care of all of the other problems so that the only thing that we've got to fret over, to worry about, to be anxious about now is whether a couple of these chemicals in apparently the predominant chunk of the sunscreen industry are causing the harm to the corals, or is it something else? If we say, yeah, it's the sunscreen and the corals keep getting bleached and they keep dying, what's that going to tell us? So maybe there's a little bit more science that we have to do here to take a look at that and come up with a fair and equitable answer. It's 7 o'clock already in the morning on The Point. We're KUSG Hagutya. My name is Ray Gibson, and Kevin Kerrigan's got news for you on the other side of Fox News Live. That's coming up in just a few minutes. Do we need an umbrella today? I'll let you know about it when we go through the weather. And what's happening in traffic? Well, next hour is going to be a little bit busier for traffic. I'll take a look at the traffic gizmo and let you know where all of the slowdowns are going to be. In the meantime, it's time for Fox News Live.
He wants to testify, but his lawyers don't want him to. I'm Steve Rappaport, Fox News. President Trump's legal team talking about what the president may or may not do in the Russia investigation. Fox's Gernal Scott has more live.
Steve, President Trump's new attorney, Rudy Giuliani, on ABC's This Week was asked point blank if he's confident the president would assert his Fifth Amendment right and not answer questions if asked to testify. Giuliani's answer?
Oh, how could I ever be confident of that?
The president says he wants to testify in spite of his attorneys, but before that happens, Giuliani says he wants to keep the president from perjuring himself.
I hope we get a chance to tell him the risks that he's taking, so he may testify.
There is word that a close friend of the president has recently been interviewed by the special counsel's staff, Steve.
Gernal House Intelligence Committee Chairman Devin Nunes threatening to hold Attorney General Jeff Sessions in contempt of Congress.
Congressional investigators are looking into allegations of surveillance abuse by the Obama administration, but for the past several years, they've had a hard time getting the documents they need to do that. Republicans have been particularly frustrated with what they describe as stonewalling. The Justice Department is pushing back on Nunes' claims that his subpoena was ignored and provided us with a letter the Assistant Attorney General sent to Nunes on Thursday, stating in part, the department has determined that consistent with applicable law and long-standing executive branch policy, it is not in a position to provide information responsive to your request regarding a specific individual.
Fox's Garrett Tenney in Washington. An expensive time of year for drivers.
Gasoline prices are still going up. They're up 7 cents in the past 2 weeks. Regular is now $2.90. It's been a 31-cent rise since late February, and this price is the highest since November 2014, 3.5 years ago.
Industry analyst Trilby Lundberg of the Lundberg Survey. Gas prices typically jump this time of year ahead of the driving season of summer. Fox News, fair and balanced.
Are you a veteran or on active duty looking for a home loan and VA eligible? Then Bank Pacific stores are open to you, where we are a VA approved preferred lender. That simply means we can give you faster credit approvals and loan closing. And with today's super low rates, you just can't go wrong. Bank Pacific's My VA Loan, where we're open to closing your loan in a hurry.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal housing lender, credit conditions apply. Viva Bank Pacific.
Capture moments with Mom forever and remember her special day.
Yeah, all I ever want is you.
Hi, Mom. Even though I always think about you a lot, you've been on my mind lately, especially with Mother's Day coming up. I'm definitely the proudest of all to be your daughter. Happy Mother's Day, milady. I love you.
Happy Mother's Day. Get $50 off Samsung S9, S9 Plus, and a free wireless charger. Some conditions apply. Docomo Pacific, better together.
The downside of living in this paradise.
It was roaring sky high. It was incredible. It was fuming. It was roaring. It was thundering. The rocks were flying out of the ground.
Lava still spewing from a volcano on Hawaii's Big Island. About 1,700 people evacuated, at least 9 homes destroyed.
We visited the shelter yesterday. About 150 people have spent the last 2 nights. It's a Red Cross shelter. Police allowed some people back in yesterday to collect a few items, but then they changed their mind when conditions got worse.
Fox's William Lajeunesse. Israel's military saying troops shot and killed 3 Palestinians today when they tried to breach the border fence in Gaza. Officials also saying the men had an axe and a wire cutter in their possession. President Trump not showing his cards ahead of a Saturday deadline to stay in the Iran nuclear deal or withdraw.
French President Emmanuel Macron and German Chancellor Angela Merkel visited D.C. and President Trump a couple of weeks ago, hoping to convince him to stay in the Iran nuclear deal. Britain's Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson is expected to be in D.C. and make that same push over the next 2 days. According to the Foreign Secretary's office, he will meet with Vice President Mike Pence, National Security Advisor John Bolton, as well as some other administration officials, senior administration officials, to talk about the Iran nuclear deal. President Trump said he would pull out of that deal by May 12th unless there are substantial changes.
Fox's Ellison Barber in Washington. The president last week saying he's open to working on a new agreement. Iran's president warning it would be a historic mistake if the U.S. pulls out. DeEbony Groves was one of 4 people fatally shot at a Nashville Waffle House last month. Yesterday would have been her college graduation. DeEbony's mother, Cheryl Baker, walking in her daughter's place during a commencement ceremony at Belmont University. Baker received a standing ovation, and the school is setting up a social work scholarship in DeEbony's honor. I'm Steve Rappaport, Fox News Radio.
Smoky
Howdy, folks. Can't get enough of my KFC Smoky Mountain Barbecue? I'm bringing more to Guam this month with my new KFC Smoky Mountain Grilled Barbecue Chicken. KFC's chicken coated with a sweet and smoky barbecue sauce. Oh, and by the way, Smoky Mountain Barbecue is still available on KFC's extra crispy chicken and boneless strips. KFC, it's finger licking good.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
GTA's best internet deal has arrived. With fiber internet, you get up to 50 megabits of data per second for only $50 per month. And if that's not enough, Fiber Internet 50 plan includes free Wi-Fi. But this offer will only last through the month of May. So sign up today and get ready for faster downloads, more streaming, a better gaming experience, and a stable connection across multiple devices. Conditions may apply. Visit GTA.net for more details. GTA, your island, your network.
Hey, it's your stomach again. Subway has all new signature wraps, and around the water cooler, the other stomachs can't stop talking about them. Chipotle Southwest Steak and Cheese, Turkey, Bacon, and Guac, Rotisserie-style Chicken Caesar signature wraps. Listen, if I'm honest, as a talking stomach, I don't have a lot of life experience. But I do know one thing. These signature wraps are jam-packed with meat. So what are you waiting for? I'm growling over here. Subway. Make it what you want.
Manila, Osaka, Fukuoka.
Dreaming about your next vacation? With the FHB United Mileage Plus credit card, you can get 10% off on United Airlines flights from Guam to Manila, Osaka, or Fukuoka when you book your ticket by May 31. Book your flight on United.com at a United City ticket office or your local travel agency using promo code FHB18M. Visit FHB.com/United Fair Sale 18 for more details. Terms and conditions apply. First Hawaiian Bank, Equal Housing Lender, member FDIC.
Afaday and good morning, Guam. News time here at The Point is 8 minutes past 7 a.m. this Monday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. The Guam International Airport Authority has agreed to a substantial reduction in the monthly rent paid by Lotte Duty Free in an effort to prevent the concessionaire from abandoning the airport retail space it now occupies and stave off the threat of defaulting on the millions of dollars the airport has borrowed from bondholders to fund the airport's current renovation project. During a hearing Friday in Superior Court, former concessionaire DFS Guam countered that the airport had entered into what they called a secret clandestine agreement that amounts to a massive giveaway to Lotte at the expense of Guam taxpayers. The arguments capped a series of hearings over the past week over the airport's request for a freeze on the February 5th order issued by Judge Arthur Barcenas. His order canceled the 10-year, $154 million retail concession contract with Lotte after concluding that the airport had committed multiple violations of Guam's procurement law and deprived DFS and others of their right to a full and fair consideration of their bids. Airport wants that decision stayed while it appeals the case to the Supreme Court in hopes of overturning it. DFS wants the decision revised to set a date certain for Lotte's exit from the airport. Take Care has appealed to the Department of Administration's dismissal of its procurement protest to the Office of Public Accountability. The health insurer is challenging the procurement's requirement that Guam Regional Medical City Hospital be included in the network of any bidder who wants to become the exclusive provider of health insurance for the more than 11,000 GovGuam employees and 5,000 retirees. In a statement Friday, Take Care President and CEO Joseph Husline said they're asking in the OPA to remove the requirement that the private hospital must be included in the bid to qualify for the contract. Husline said that requirement restricts competition, and he believes it is a violation of Guam law. We'll have more news after this.
From September 17 to September 19, 2018, the Archdiocese of Agana will be conducting settlement conferences with victims of clergy abuse. If you have a claim and want to meaningfully participate in the September settlement conferences, call Hope and Healing Guam at 1-888-649-5288 before August 1st, 2018. All conversations with Hope and Healing Guam are confidential. If you have filed a lawsuit against the Archdiocese, you are already included in this settlement process.
Security Title is honored to join in sponsoring Ray Gibson on The Point. Hafiday, my name is Jesse Cruz from the village of Maina, and this is where I start my day, listening to the voices of our community and sharing thoughts about issues that affect all of us. It all boils down to our people and our land. Protehi Itonomo, protect your land. When it comes to your family land, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
11 minutes past 7 a.m. here at The Point. 30-year-old Benjamin Jesse Pablo of Talafofo was arrested Friday night on sexual assault allegations. He was taken into custody following a chase during which one officer fired shots at the fleeing vehicle. Pablo is accused of sexually assaulting a woman at Etan Beach Park last week on Tuesday and then stealing her car, a black Toyota Camry. GPD spokesman Sergeant Paul Tapau reports that Southern Precinct Command officers spotted the stolen Camry Friday night in Talafofo. They tried to pull it over, but the driver sped off. Pablo lost control of the vehicle, ran off the roadway, tried to reverse and hit a police car, and that's when one officer fired shots at the car. Pablo then fled on foot into the jungle, but he was caught. He's being held on multiple charges, including first-degree criminal sexual conduct, car theft, and eluding a police officer, and driving without a driver's license. 4 boys and 1 adult man were taken into custody late Friday afternoon at JFK High School when the school's Islander Day celebration ended in a riot. Teachers, staff, and school resource officers responded to the incident and called police. 5 individuals arrested and charged for rioting, disorderly conduct, and assault. There were no injuries. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Ray with some weather.
It says here, partly sunny today with isolated showers, northeast winds to about 20 miles an hour, decreasing a bit overnight. Daytime highs about 89 degrees, and overnight lows forecast to be about 79 degrees. A trough of low pressure to the south of Guam is slowly working its way to the north across the region over the next couple of days. As it weakens, you can expect isolated showers with an occasional heavy rainfall burst for the next couple of days. Sunset tonight, 6:37. Sunrise tomorrow morning, probably about 5:56. 7:12 is the time in the studios on The Point.
Ready to buy real estate on Guam? Congratulations! But what now? There are so many questions, so many things to do. Where do you start? The best place to start is to call Century 21 Commonwealth Realty, Guam's biggest name in real estate. They aren't the best because they're the biggest. They're the biggest because they're the best. Trust the name. Find out why. Call Century 21 Commonwealth Realty today. 888-2121. Trust the best.
Yeah, buddy. Portions of the program brought to you by King's Restaurant. Yes, serving Guam favorites to families like yours for over 40 years. King's Restaurant's always open, always local.
For more than 40 years, we've managed our island's most precious resource, your health. Take Care's benefit plans allow members access to more than 120 medical providers, 40 dental providers, and 18 pharmacies in the region. Take Care's health plans ensure members in Palau, Saipan, and Guam receive the care they deserve. Our programs and wellness classes have proven results for our valued members, and our commitment to your health never been stronger. Take Care, our island, your health plan.
Yeah, tell you, I don't want to do this unless I know that Ed and Karen Untalan are online on the Facebook Live, and they've just popped up on the screen. So, yes, Ed's good to see you there. Portions of the program brought to you by First Hawaiian Bank, where it all starts with Ed, or yes.
Circle K has just made it easier to select products that are better for you and your healthier lifestyle. When looking for items that are low carb, low sodium, low calories, low sugar, high in antioxidants, or high in protein, just look for the easy to spot better for you labels so you can find these items at a glance. Come by and see for yourself. It has never been more convenient to fill up on anything and everything that are better for you. Circle K. Take it easy.
The Ray Gibson Show. Any speaker, anytime. Call now. 888-TALK. That's 888-82 1055.
Well, that's a fact, Jack. To get the speakers on the Facebook, and there's apps that you can get your hands on at let me see, thepoint.gu, or just park your browser at thepoint.gu, and you'll be able to watch the program. But my preference, if you're going to watch what goes on here in the studio, my preference is that you go to Facebook and watch our Facebook live feed, because that's the groovy one where you actually can see other people and interact back and forth with them. As I said, I was talking about Brad Rizala. He's online and was able to chime in on a couple of things. Like, yeah, come on up. There's lots of low-cost places to stay, and he says they can happy hour here if you're going to be doing that. Romeo Carlos is applying for the roadie position on what he's referring to now as the Point Does Saipan Tour.
Nice.
It's already got it already has a name, Kevin. The only thing that we've got to do now is get up there, be a part of maybe that inaugural flight or the inaugural week, and we'll go up there on the jet. My friend Mark chimed in, not online, but in the WhatsApp. I'm hooked on WhatsApp, by the way. I mean, that's crack to me. But anyway, says we were talking about the prices of getting up there. $59 round trip in the late 80s, right?
Nice.
Early to mid 80s. In the 90s, about $99 round trip. And that was just the craziest thing in the world. I mean, can you imagine? You just you park the car at the airport, and then phew, up there, goof off, go rent a car. We used to do that. We used to go, and there was a buddy of mine, Mike, that used to run this rental car place, and he was great because he didn't own the car, so he didn't really care what condition they were when they came back. So we is this a 4-wheel drive? I don't know. Let's find out. Boom, boom. Let's go drive around in the boondocks. Wild West days back in them times, and the recollection that I had on a couple of other cars, and you'll go find Ernie Galito, he'll remember this, is we went up there, we were doing something, we were launching HBO or something like that up in Saipan, and we went up there, and we said, we're going to need a van. And I said, okay. And so they found a van for us to drive around with, and it broke my head at the time because the steering wheel was on the opposite side, and it had column shift. It was standard. It had column shift, and so between the two of them, I never got around to driving that car, and I didn't think I could do it. I'd sit in the driver's seat and go, nope, performance anxiety, not going to happen. Ernie, man, you drive. You take care of this. Where are we going? Crazy. And emissions code violations, things like that. Nobody ever looked. You could bring in a car from anywhere. 7:17 in the morning. Great memories of that place. And they tell me there's still a little bit of that Wild West feel when you get up there. I don't know. We'll have to see. Well, I've asked Brad to chime in and give us some ideas on things to do when we do the Point Does Saipan Tour. Somebody also said $192 it was Brad. He says his friend booked a ticket with the jet for $192, which is better than the $270 price.
There we go.
That you can get online. Maybe that's what it was. When he bought it, it was $192. And now that the computer knows that somebody is buying tickets, bang, $270. and I'll bet you if you look again, because you know how it works with the online tickets, right?
Yeah.
If you look again in a half hour, you don't clear out your cookies or whatever, it'll say, oh, it's that guy Mike again. Yeah. So it's $275 now, Mike. Check again later on, it'll be $285. Why? Because that's why. It's because of airlines. That's why.
You should have bought it an hour ago.
Exactly. You try to stay on that same price. I tell you what, it's one of those when I do the tickets, I never let that browser page go to sleep because I know if I have to re-log in that the prices are going to go up. At least that's part of the mystery of it. 7:18. What are we supposed to do now? Tell you about what happened in the markets over the weekend? I guess that would be a good place to go at this point in the program. So all of the markets closed up in the green on Friday. That's good news, isn't it? S&P 500 up by 33 points to close at 2663. The NASDAQ at 7209. They're up by 121 points. Dow Jones Industrial Average back over 24,262. They went up by 332 points. That's good for about 1.3% worth of an increase. We'll see where it goes when they open the market tomorrow. FTSE at 75.67, up by 64, but the Asian markets, the rest of them are down. Nikkei's off by 35 points. Hang Seng off by 386 points. They're under 30,000 now, and Shanghai closed at 3,091. So I was looking at what's going on with oil, $69 and $72 for a barrel of West Texas crude. I think that price is up from the last time I looked at it. And as far as Tapas is concerned, I'm absolutely delighted to have been wrong in my prediction. I figured that by now we'd start to see the prices go up but I passed by the gas station, and above the motivational phrase, the prices were still the same. So it was $4.23 or so for a gallon of gasoline. $74.97 is what they're selling West Texas crude for. I'm sorry, Tappas crude for. So it's still up. Not quite 75, which is for me that's a psychological barrier for it to punch through. But still very close to it. $74.97.
We've got to be teetering close to that threshold of the price increase at the pump.
It's possible. It's possible that we are, but maybe some of the C-store marketing things are going well, like 76 Circle K. They've got that thing where they got the healthy choices thing. Maybe that is so successful that it's holding the price of gasoline down at that station.
Stranger things have
happened.
It is.
Yes. It's like the airline business. I don't know. 7:20 after 7 in the morning, and that's what happened in the market. We'll look at traffic, but first, what we got to do is Jerry Roberts has got to take us through today's Extra Point.
I caught a list of buzzwords the other day on CNN, the words that we so often use in the workplace, but that people say we should all get rid of. I'm Jerry Roberts, and in my role as a public servant, I'm here to discuss proper communication and how we should end our addiction to these overused words and phrases. Next on the Extra Point. Yes, we need to hammer it out, to do the heavy lifting, to create a level playing field, to throw these words under the bus. We need to push the envelope and get with the program to create a win-win situation by grabbing the low-hanging fruit with workplace language, getting us back to square one. We need to recognize the elephant in the room, see things from the 30,000-foot view, run this important issue up the flagpole, and get back to the drawing board. If we work together, we can indeed take things to the next level, get up to speed, and avoid barking up the wrong tree. Never forget that there's no I in team. We've all got skin in the game. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. Let's leverage what we know and create the true paradigm shift we all hunger for. It's time to raise the bar, drill down, stay user-friendly, and take a deep dive into improving how we choose to communicate with each other. Work with me, and I'll keep you in the loop and develop synergy so when push comes to shove, we can wrap our heads around all this. To become the robust, client-centered, cutting-edge, data-driven, and dialed-in Hoosier Daddy organization that kicks you-know-what and takes names, we need to work smarter and think outside the box. It's mission critical that we make all these ideas actionable and that down the road, the bottom line will remain that we compare apples to apples and get the biggest bang for the buck. So we always keep the best and the brightest on our side. And cleaning up these overused words will make you sound like a boss. I mean, you the man. And you go, girl. You follow the best practices and see the big picture. I'll be there for you. I've got your back. So let's unpack this when we touch base and put boots on the ground, giving 110% and getting in the trenches. It'll be a new day with a clean slate as we proudly proclaim, been there, done that. I know where you're coming from. And in my humble opinion, it's all good. At this point in time, people will know that when we bring things to the table, we'll be laser focused. This ain't your grandfather's way of communicating. Let's level up and right size and make this a plug-and-play solution. We've got the core competencies to make it happen. Whoa, talk about the wow factor. I know, right? That's the Extra Point. Get out there and make something good happen today. Because at the end of the day, it is what it is. For 93 point whatever, I'm Jerry Roberts.
That was nice.
We're gonna play that again. not now, but we're gonna play that one again. That was just brilliant, there. Yeah, that's a keeper. We'll put that in the evergreen file. At this radio station, we don't have that. There's my motivational phrase among the team is to spike the ball. You got to spike the ball. You watch kids play a lot of net games, tennis and badminton and volleyball and stuff like that, and sometimes you'll hear somebody say, "Just get it over the net." Just get it over, because the idea is you just get it over the net and let the guy make a mistake. So let the other player commit the error, and then you get the advantage of the point. But and that might win you a couple of games, but it ain't going to get you to Wimbledon. You want to go to Wimbledon? You better learn to spike the ball. You better learn to suffocate somebody by getting the ball down their throat or into their head or behind them or at their feet or whatever. That's the deal here. So we always look for opportunities in doing promotions and advertising and building radio stations to spike the ball. So, Jerry, maybe that's the one that you're going to use for tomorrow. It's 7:24 in the morning. Coming up, we'll talk about traffic and fill the void between here and the next round of headlines.
Water. It covers nearly 3/4 of our Earth, from vast oceans to millions of rivers and streams. We're all concerned with protecting our world's water, but none is more important than the water you and your family drink and use throughout your home. A Connecticut water treatment system can improve your water so that your family is using the best water in the world. Connecticut, for refreshing ideas on water.
American Water Tech. Smarter water. Better water. Call American Water Tech at 649-2301 or email info@americanwatertech.com. You know, I was laying up a little bit in front of Anderson Air Force Base in the main gate up there, but it looks like that is all but dissipated. You might still see a few cars lingering as people go, hey, man, it's 7:25. It's time to go to work. Marine Corps Drive southbound to the intersection of 1 and 3 is beginning to busy up through there, and then traffic coming out of 3 towards Marine Corps Drive also getting a little bit heavy. Look at what is that up in Dedito? There's that intersection over by GU Storage, and it looks like there's a lot of people lined up to make that left-hand turn, because there's nothing happening after that. So it must be everybody trying to take that shortcut down Hamburger Highway. Don't see anything else except on the way into town, actually on the way towards Navy Hospital up in Agania Heights, Sinahanya area. You're going to cruise through there, and then you might hit a line of traffic as things begin to slow down. On the end of that road, at the intersection, the old Automasters intersection over by Adelup, you might see a line of traffic at the mobile station with people trying to get onto Marine Corps Drive there. That's real-time, right now traffic on the point.
Morico equipment on EPOW Road is expanding. Morico now requires heavy equipment diesel service technicians to join their highly qualified service team. In this role, you'll be responsible for all types of repairs and maintenance of transport trucks, heavy-duty off-road equipment, diesel generators, trailers, and buses. They're seeking specialist mechanics with previous training and experience as diesel or heavy equipment mechanics or diesel generator technicians. Morico Equipment is now an employee-owned company. Find out more on their website at moricoequipment.com.
That's nice. I just checked the Facebook feed, and there seems to be unanimous approval for Jerry Roberts and his. Levon calls it funny as heck, OMGs. But I don't know if those are her buzz phrases. I'm not sure. She loves it. If you loved it too, then go to GuamTraining.com on the World Wide Web and grab your copy. And James Howard writes in, "It's nothing personal. You're fired." Is that your motivational phrase? That's the one. Yeah, decision has been made and it's final. 7:27. Coming up, some headlines for you from the Guam Daily Post. And what I wanted to do here, and I don't know. It's like anything Trump. Some days it's going to be great, and some days it's not. I thought what I'd do here is just to find out what he was tweeting and turn that into a routine called Trump tweets here on the program. But his only tweet so far in the last 24 hours, in fact, it was the last tweet, was 24 hours ago. It says, "Thank you, Cleveland, Ohio." And which means, I guess, all of the Trump haters are going to now ban Cleveland, Ohio as a result of that particular one.
The mistake by the lake?
And the what?
The mistake by the lake. Cleveland. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard it put quite that way before. I'm supposed to make you laugh, not the other way around. This one here, our high-level delegation is on the way back from China, where they had long meetings with Chinese leaders and business representatives. We will be meeting tomorrow to determine the results, but it's hard for China in that they have become very spoiled with the U.S. trade wins out there. And that will be interesting. I think one of the first places that we'll see the effect on that particular Trump tweet is probably going to be in the market. So we'll watch and see how they open up tomorrow. 7:28 a.m. And still punching through a couple of other topics in my head. Kevin and I had a chance while the news was playing and before his actual newscast to talk a little bit more about the mileage program. Not necessarily the horns of the dilemma that Jay Rojas seems to find himself in. Kind of painted into a little bit of a corner here, saying, well, you guys aren't making any donations into the deal. But the deal is, the rules are that unless you've got a Government of Guam issued credit card, there's no way to get the mileage from the transaction into the system, right?
That's my understanding.
Okay, so I mean,
it's built through.
So it's kind of hard to hang him for a dog if he's just abiding by the rules. Are there other ways to do it?
Issue Gita a GovGuam credit card,
Yeah.
I guess.
Or
make sure that the credit card, the GovGuam credit card they do have, is the one they
links into a
use to
mileage
build.
program,
Yeah.
which they'll be able to now. I mean, they couldn't do it with Delta, but they obviously could do something like that with United. But Jay's on. We might get Jay to play around on the radio and talk a little bit about this. But I'll just tell you right now, Jay, if I call you, that's not why we're calling. If I call you, it's because I want to find out if you've got any renewed confidence with this RFP that you're putting out. GMH needs $9.2 million to build up a new birthing center, a new baby delivery ward, and bring it to the 21st century. But it will take some seed money to do that, about $9.2 million, and they haven't gotten the financing for it yet. So they put out another RFP, and I'm kind of curious as to whether or not where the confidence is going to be coming from. Do we think that this time we might be able to get a deal and begin to light up the construction on that? 7:30 a.m. and now time for headlines from the Guam Daily Post. Here's Kevin Kerrigan.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. In the headlines from the Daily Post this morning, a pedestrian struck by a car Saturday night died early yesterday morning from his injuries. The man was attempting to cross Route 16 in Harmon near the Iglesia Ni Cristo Church when he was hit by a silver Toyota RAV4. It happened about 7 p.m. in the evening. The man was rushed to GRMC, where he died shortly after midnight yesterday. The driver of the RAV4, who did not want to be named, told the Guam Daily Post that the area was dark and he didn't see the man until it was too late. GPD's Highway Patrol Division is investigating. This was the 7th traffic-related fatality of the year on Guam's roads. Today marks the start of a tax amnesty program for delinquent Guam taxpayers. Taxpayers have 3 weeks to submit their applications to qualify for the tax amnesty. They must submit the application to the Department of Revenue and Taxation from today until May 28th. A 10% down payment of the total taxes owed is due upon submission of the application for the amnesty program. Delinquent taxpayers who qualify will then have until August 6th to pay the balance of what they owe. All penalties and interest are waived. Only the principal owed has to be paid. The amnesty applies to all withholding, corporate, and property taxes owed on or before December 31st, 2016. GovGuam hopes the program will help make up for the projected $67 million revenue shortfall in the remainder of this fiscal year. Hawaii last week passed legislation banning the sale of sunscreen containing chemicals believed to be harmful to coral reefs. The legislation would prohibit the distribution of those sunscreens containing the chemicals oxybenzone and octinoxate, which are key ingredients needed to protect skin from the damaging effects of the sun, but some scientists say they also contribute to coral bleaching. The Consumer Healthcare Products Association has challenged the ban. They represent leading manufacturers and marketers. They issued a statement saying that the ban poses a threat to the health, safety, and welfare of millions of Hawaii residents and tourists. Similar legislation is not yet under consideration here on Guam. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
And just say no when it's time. That's one of those pieces of legislation. You say, you know what, maybe we'll talk about this after we've solved all of the other problems. We'll put this down with plastic straws, and because they're going to start talking about banning plastic straws, too. That's the next thing.
And plastic bags.
Well, they're already working on that. They've already got the legislation, the pro-large government legislation that would provide for the banning of the plastic bags. Eventually, right? It's like 2015, I think. Is that what is the year that is envisioned in that? In the meantime, we'll set up commissions and we'll give the Department of Revenue and Taxation new things to do with these plastic bag payments that people are going to be making.
But I have a question.
Yes, sir.
On the sunscreen ban, how are reefs doing away from beaches?
That's the question. And so in the article, it talks about some scientists, but it doesn't say which scientists, what articles, where is the actual science behind this? We get people that can't even agree that there's two genders anymore, and we're looking for agreement on whether or not these couple of chemicals here are going to have an impact. So if we ban them, will it save the corals, or will it prevent us from looking at what the real culprit might be?
And the Great Barrier Reef, which
Been there, done that.
That's right.
I don't want to go back. It's cold there. They don't tell you that. In the write-ups on the Great Barrier Reef, I've actually been on the Great Barrier Reef. In the very same day, was in two different kind of wildlife preserves. It was the rainforest. You remember we did the rainforest over in one day, and then later in the day or earlier in the day or whatever it was, then we got a chance to go and dive the Barrier Reef, because you can do that in tropical North Queensland, which is a terrific place. And I want United to start flying back down there every day again. So having said that, but what they didn't tell you is the water is frigid. It's like ice cubes when you get into that water. And the only thing they gave you was one of these short-legged things, right? So my torso was okay, but my legs were frozen. And so I'd get back up there. I was supposed to do 3 dives this day, and I got up there after the first one. After I froze the first one, I sat out the next one. It took me 2 days to thaw, and 18 Victoria bitters. But I survived the whole thing. Anyway, we're iConnect time. That's what I'm supposed to do. Connect longer for less with iConnect's push-to-talk mobile and internet plans.
In this divided world, there are still a few things that unite us. The thrill of an exciting championship game.
Fires to the end zone. Touchdown!
The sound of great music.
The Grammy goes to...
And the love we have for that perfect burger. Ruby Tuesday Guam presents to you For the Love of Burgers menu. For a limited time, we want you to put down that fork, tuck that napkin in your collar, and go for broke with an amazing burger for just $11.99. 8 burgers to try, and time is a-wasting. Ruby Tuesday Guam lunchtime. See you soon.
Is there traffic? Yes, it's that time of day already on a Monday morning, 7:36. There is traffic. Some of the usual spots you'll see the traffic beginning to build. Any place where it might slow you down a little bit? Looks like we've got something happening in front of the, just a lot of cars, I guess, at that intersection coming out of the A.B. Wanpat International Airport. Oh, wait, sorry. Going towards the A.B. Wanpat International Airport. You might see a line of traffic trying to make its way to that, what I consider the hated turn. Coming up the John F. Kennedy High School hill. You might see a line of traffic if you are headed towards Mesclados and down into the Tumon area. Anything else you need to worry about? Have we cleared up that deal in Agana? Not quite. Still looks like there might be a line of traffic waiting for you if you're trying to get to Navy Hospital this morning, but I don't see anything else that is going to cause you any major problems. It did look like things were starting to stack up at the intersection of 8, 10, and 16, but not at 8, 10, and 16. It's the Happy Mart intersection. I guess somebody turned on the light this morning, and that was backing up some cars. But it looks like it's cleared up now. 7:37, that's right now traffic on the point.
Hey, it's your stomach again. Subway has all new signature wraps, and around the water cooler, the other stomachs can't stop talking about them. Chipotle Southwest steak and cheese, turkey, bacon, and guac, rotisserie-style chicken Caesar signature wraps. Listen, if I'm honest, as a talking stomach, I don't have a lot of life experience. But I do know one thing. These signature wraps are jam-packed with meat. So what are you waiting for? I'm growling over here. Subway, make it what you want.
It's 7:37, almost 7:38, and you might have seen in the newspaper coverage of a couple of ads that the Chamber took out here. Looks like we've got the thank you very much is from the Chamber to everybody that supported their 94th gala over the weekend on Saturday night. Great crowd, wonderful event. The theme was James Bond, which was awesome. They had one of these cool James Bond looking cars out in the front, and everybody taking pictures against this cool 007 deal in the side, and the food was terrific. I did an outstanding job with the food, so I want to say thanks very much about that. But a great opportunity for us to acknowledge the contributions of a number of companies. Nanbo was the big winner of the Business Laureate Award and celebrating, I forget, it was 65 years or something like that in service. There is a public organization that is having an anniversary. In fact, their proclamation is going to be tomorrow, 10 a.m., for the 50th anniversary proclamation of the, are you ready for it? Guam Power Authority. Has it been 50 years? So we might hear from Patty Diego and talk about some of the highlights of the last 50. So I guess today wouldn't be the day to bring up and do the thing on privatizing GPA. happy anniversaries. Let's sell the keys. Let's sell the building. A couple of other interesting stories about GPA. And earlier, talking about this $9.2 million that the guys over at the hospital need that Jay Rojas and the folks over at GITA are going to try to find. James Camacho Moylan, and you can tell he's running for office because he's using all three names now. James Camacho Moylan says, public-private partnership to get the labor and delivery ward constructed. This would be an interest-free loan. All right, I got you. And Steve Klein chiming in with his catchphrase, which is follow the plan. Was hoping to hear from Brad Rizal about now to give me some pointers on where to go and what to do when the Point goes on tour up in Saipan, the CNMI. The reason why this conversation comes up is, let me see, last hour, Marie Lizama, who was with Delta, which was an airline that used to fly into and out of Guam, and the CNMI. I guess they had there's a decommissioning when they stopped flying a particular plane. They decommissioned the plane. It might still be flyable, it might still be selling it to somebody, but they've decommissioned it for their uses. And in this case, it looks like they've decommissioned the entire airline up in Saipan. They're just not doing anything in and out of there after this. And, you know, of course, they've completed all of that with Guam, so there's really not much left for her to be doing anymore these days. But she had called in and wanted to try to make it so that Jay Rojas wasn't hung for a dog on this deal with the mileage. And so that was a little bit of that conversation, and that's how that gets prompted. Carl Pangilinan writes, I was able to do it. I'd go on a trip, and I'd be able to take the mileage and send it over to the Azuda Foundation. And we're still trying to figure out how that happened, because it doesn't sound like there was a link between the two, unless there's a mechanism for these
unless he
departments and
personally
agencies.
went to the website and donated his personal mileage to the Azuda Foundation. You could click on the donation bar on the United website and then drop down to Azuda and then donate it directly that way, rather than going through DOA. Perhaps that's how he did it.
But they were Delta miles.
Yeah.
They were Delta
then
miles.
they'd have to go to Delta.
You'd have to find a way to do that. Like I said, very kind of a tricky kind of go around, and it'll be interesting. Maybe there ought to be. I'm not saying that there needs to be an oversight hearing, and maybe just a little round table, as it were, just a chance to get everybody together and say, yeah, this is the way we're going to do this, and that's what it's going to look like. So for me though, it led into the conversation about, hey, what's there to do up in Saipan? Because it's starting to feel like the old days, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to be able to call up the United guys and say, got nothing to do this weekend, so fly me out Friday morning. And since it's only going to be, you've got to overnight now, because it's only one flight a day. So after they let you out, unless your trip is going to be long enough for them to clean the airplane and then turn it around on the runway, unless that trip is supposed to be that short, you're going to have to stay there the entire night. And so with me on the phone, my buddy Brad Rizala, who's had every single job there is up in the Northern Mariana Islands. Where are you working now? I got to ask that, because it seems different every time I talk to you. Who are you with?
I'm doing communications with Joint Region Marianas.
Hey, how about that? Did you hear? I guess we got the check over the weekend for $12 million for our repository down here. They doing repositories up there?
There is a plan for sure. Probably they still have to. For sure, they still have to determine where that's going to go, but that is definitely one of the things in the works.
Okay, so there are similar workings between here and there, and just trying to make everybody happy with all of these major changes that are coming up. But remind me one of these days, we'll devote a separate conversation for that. But just because it's Monday morning and I feel like goofing off here on a particular issue, so what we're going to plan here, and you can work this out. We'll see if we can work it out with Sam and Paula and the United guys. Is I want to take the entire morning show up to Saipan. right? So we'll fly up there, I don't know, on Thursday. No, that's going to be tricky. We have to fly out sometime maybe on a Friday, and we're going to figure out how we're going to get back to Guam because they're morning flights, right?
All right. So here's the best way to do it.
Okay, go ahead.
If you're going to wait until the jet service starts, that's going to be starting at the beginning of June. Then you're going to have to, plan your either do a pre-recorded show and fly out during the day, or you're going to have to fly out over the weekend, which sounds like a great idea, by the way.
Yeah.
And then knock out a Monday or something, and then maybe have a best of the point for your following day when you fly back. Or you just fly out in the next couple of weeks, and you can fly back in several different times.
Okay, so we'll, I like the best of idea. We'll just do the best of thing. We'll fly out like on a Friday, Saturday, and then do the show.
But the problem is the guy that runs the best of program.
Yeah,
that's me. That means I don't get to go to Saipan. So that's okay.
We're doing it. Look, this is a scientific system that we built here. There's no reason why we couldn't team view ourselves back and forth.
Fly out Thursday.
Fly out Thursday.
Do the show Friday morning and fly back Saturday or Sunday.
But if we fly out Thursday because it's 8 o'clock in the morning, we got to.
Does the flight leave at 8?
I think it's a 7 o'clock flight, and then the service from Saipan to Guam is like 8 o'clock.
Well, that's okay if it's on Saturday or Sunday coming back, but getting up there on Thursday.
Okay, well, at any rate, and that's not the gist of it. We got the smartest people on the island in this room, and none of us can figure out how to do it so that we're on the air at the same time. But we'll get there. We'll figure that out. There's I got guys that will work on that. So the question though is, I'm overnighting up in Saipan. A lot of people do business on Guam. They leave here in the morning, come back in time for happy hour, right? So the question is, if we are, and I don't want to say stuck on Saipan. I'm not going to say that, right? I'm not going to say stranded in paradise. But if we have to overnight, or if we have to turn it into an extended weekend, what is there to do in Saipan? What is there to do, shop, and dine up in Saipan?
You know what? First of all, it just dawned on me when you said "stuck on Saipan." We should do that. That should be our catchphrase, but with quotation marks.
Yay! Okay, listen, that'll cost you a nice 3 nights. There's 3 separate rooms in one of the fancier hotels up there.
Yeah, with the quotes, it means like, you know what? I'm forced to do it. But then when you get here, you get to have a great time.
Exactly.
So we can build the whole thing. In fact, Ray, with as much as you run, we should try to coordinate this when there's a race on a Saturday morning. And so that'll make you have to stay Saturday. So
yeah, I don't know. You guys up in Saipan are hardcore racers. I mean, you have a race called the Hell of the Marianas. I mean, how fun does that sound?
Oh, it's lovely. Well, you guys have the Tour de Guahan, right? Tour of Guam. And it's a 110K bike race. We have the Hell of Marianas is a 100K bike race. That's in December, first weekend of December, and it's great. I mean, It sounds terrible, but it's nice.
Okay, so but getting back to so it's with friends, whatever day we go up, Friday morning, whatever, and we hang out, we do our business, a show. I'll call in some advertisers up there, whatever, and then it gets to be happy hour. Friday night happy hour, where?
Oh, well, the easy place, I would say. Godfather's is my favorite place for a happy hour, but while you're here, don't miss the Sunset Happy Hour over at PIC on the south side, because it's a great beach. The prices are 50% off till 7, and usually they'll take care of you longer than that, but the view is amazing.
Entertainment?
Then you could slide over to the Buoy Bar where they have the live band.
Korean hot pants.
Korean hot pants. That's
that's
we're all kind of focused on the same thing around here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
but it is PIC after all. Okay. Used to be you go to PIC and you'd hang out with the Russians, and there's certain Russians you don't want to see in hot pants. But anyway, so you got that going for you. What hotel? You already mentioned the PIC. I know that the Hyatt is awesome up there as well. But let's say I'm looking for kind of a midline or budget hotel.
Okay, so you've got the Kanoa Resort, the former Saipan Grand Hotel,
mm-hmm.
and then that's right down the street, like right next door is Saipan World Resort. If you want to go up north, you got a choice of a couple of places. You've got Mariana Resort and Spa, which has the best spa in Saipan, by the way. And then you've also got the Kensington, which is the old Hotel Nico, but that thing's got a major renovation over the past couple of years. So right now, that is the fanciest hotel that we've got in Saipan. It's worth it. It's a brand that you're not familiar with, but you will not forget it once you check it out.
Now there's another place just before you get to the Nico. It used to be huge back in the late 80s, early 90s, and then they mothballed it. And last I heard, somebody was talking about doing a renovation on it. Can't remember the name of the hotel, but like I said, it's on the way up the hill towards the Nico. You remember?
So there's two. The one that you're talking about in mothballs, that's the Plumeria, and that's got a few issues. It's still in mothballs, and it was because there were so many different owners, they couldn't figure out how to make it all come together.
Oh, Lord.
I think Bridge Capital has a piece of that to try and bring it all into the fold and get it all nice. But the Aqua Resort Club, which is right next door, is amazing as well. So each one of your rooms is like a little bungalow, and it's a great place to stay.
Well, that does sound nice. A little off the beaten path. I like the high tech, but I like the high touch. I like lo-fi accommodations as well. Frankly, whenever I sleep up there, whenever I go up to Saipan, I like to go and stay someplace where I can open the windows.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I turn on the air conditioner.
Get that feel. I'm wondering if these hotels, though, they offer custom wake-up service, because I'd like for someone to come in and wake me up.
Get up, it's Jesus Day.
Come on. I'm willing to pay extra for that.
And I'm glad that you were able to work that in, because I want to bookend the rest of the conversation about excursions and things like that. Years ago, somebody treated me to Managaha Island, and I fell in love with that. How easy is it to get a ride out there these days?
It's the easiest thing ever. I mean, it's about about a 2 kilometer distance from the port to Managaha. And so you can find a million little speedboats going back and forth all day long, or you could just hop on like the bigger boats, like the Tassi Tours boat and everything like that. So getting to Managaha is not going to be a problem.
Groovy. Then I guess some of the rest of this is going to be other accommodations and things like that. We got slingshots around here. We've got the Tagada. What's working back there? What's the fun back there? Things for little kids to do.
Well, so we've got a couple of cool things. Saipan World Resort has a great water park. So does CIC. In fact, this year they just opened up a brand new section of the water slides over at the PIC with like a 50-foot tower full of water slides. It's really cool.
Okay, so there have been some changes since the last time I was in. Nice.
Oh my goodness! Are you kidding? There's way more than that. There's something called Let's Go Tour company, and they offer. They've got these Polaris 4-wheelers, and not like a little ATV. This is like either a 2-seater or a 4-seater, depending on which one they put you in. And these axles have so much travel. You can like pull up to like a rock that's 3 foot tall and just go straight over it. It's incredible. And they take you up to Mount Tapachao.
Wow.
And they've got like an adventure course where, you're the driver. You're not letting someone else drive it for you. You get to have a real adventure, and you get to hit all kinds of cool stuff. And that's just one of the things you could do while you're here.
Then we start talking about food here, and whenever I think about food, I think about one of my favorite brunch places, which is the Hyatt. I think hands down for years, number one brunch place to go on a Sunday morning. What else is there?
All right, so you're right about that, but then there's a lot of people who are trying to come up and beat them. I'm really impressed with World Resort came up huge on Sundays, where their spread is just, it's hard to beat that one. But you want to go out and check out the other ones at the other place. Plus, there's like steak night, Sunday nights, over at the Aqua. They've got the Kevin Steakhouse in there, and then they've got just their regular steak buffet.
Kevin Steakhouse? Kevin is looking at me. I had no idea.
Secret investment.
Nice. What's good for nightlife? I mean, it seems to me that there are some bars that come and go, and then there are bars that have been there for a long time up in the Garapan side. So what's where are the kids hanging out?
Okay, so we've got a real tight little party area. It's kind of like where you've got there's this group in Tumon where there's a bunch of little bars and clubs all in that same spot. But you've got Godfathers, which is kind of like guys my age kind of place, but younger people and older people go there.
Yeah.
Right next door, right across the street, you've got Safe House. Well, that place has live music. They got great stuff on tap.
It's called Safe House?
It's called Safe House. Not too much safe going on over there.
No, apparently it could. Yeah. Well, certain places. You still got all those women running around asking if you want a massage?
You know, they are definitely out there.
Okay, we're just checking.
It's not the way it was 15 years ago, but they are definitely back out there, especially with, you know, our new boom in tourism the last couple of years. That some of those people that.
I just want to know whether I should go to the chiropractor before or after the big point on tour in Saipan. Now I know that there's apparently there's a new gambling joint up there in Saipan. But what if I wanted to go to Tinian? Can I still get on one of those little airplanes or catch the Vomit rocket across the channel?
Okay, so the Vomit Comet left not long before, or not too much before the Tinian Dynasty closed down. So Tinian Dynasty's closed, and those ferries that went back and forth aren't in operation anymore. But Star Marianas still flies, and they fly like every 5 minutes. I mean, you could still book a flight and all that other stuff, but really, if you just show up, you're going to be on a plane within about 20 minutes.
I got you. And now that the casino's closed, the only thing that's worth going up there is the historical up on the Bombays, right?
Yeah, but you know what's even better, though? I mean, if you're going there, you want to enjoy Tinian a little bit. I think they've got some of the best beaches in the whole Mariana Island chain. It's very calm. It's quiet. It's beautiful. You get to go to Taga Beach. You can take the jump off the cliff into the ocean, which you'll see kids climbing in and doing that stuff all day. You definitely want to do it. And you can swim. The Tinian Triathlon, which they don't do anymore, but they used to do it, and you go out 250 meters, take a left, 500 meters, and follow that pattern back. But you're in waters that's like 60 to 80 feet deep where you could see all the way to the bottom.
Oh.
It's the closest thing you can experience to like being able to fly.
Oh, I love that. I love that. All right, well, one of these days. So the last thing that I'll ask, because I know you got stuff to take care of, and we've got a few things around here that we need to muscle through this morning in terms of actual news and topics. But the place, you got friends, family maybe coming in from the States, and you want to take them someplace that is just unique and special, and it's your go-to place for important folks. Where is that?
Okay, so before you take anybody anywhere, when you come to Saipan for the first time, take them to the American Memorial Park in the Visitor Center. There's a video, and they'll play it on demand in their theater. It's 22 minutes long, and it puts everything else that you're going to see, no matter where you go, into perspective. It tells you it's about the history of Saipan leading up to the war, and how basically our islands and our Commonwealth got shaped afterwards. It's definitely worth seeing. But here's a little one for you. When you're asking about dinner, if you're going to be here for a couple of nights or even one, to appreciate it, it's one of the places that is off the beaten path, not too far off of it, but it's not a big touristy place at all. It's a total local place. It's called Casa Urashima, and it's operated out of it used to be a house. Now it's a restaurant. It's just above the Cristo Rey Church in Garapan, and you will be blown away by the culinary delights. Call Ken Stewart; he'll tell you all about it.
What's the name of it? Tasa what?
So if you were to say it like U.S. style, it would be Urashima, but for a Japanese restaurant, Urashima.
Urashima. Gotcha. Hey, listen, I appreciate your time. I appreciate your time about all of this stuff. I mean, it sounds like as usual, there's been morphing and evolution up in Saipan. And so if you've got memories of what it was like maybe a couple of years ago, because it's been that long since I've been there, it sounds like almost new and improved, if you know what I mean.
It is. And just before you let me go, I want to say thanks again. I came up for the Guam Marathon this year again. And what a wonderfully well-organized, well-volunteered, well-thought-out and prepared race. I had so much fun again, and I'm so thankful that we have great races like that in the Marianas where we get to come out to Guam and go and participate. So well done, GVB and United, PIC, and everybody who's involved. And, again, the volunteers who set up their own aid stations. That was just
that was terrific. I'm getting a question from somebody asking, is it possible if they look you up, will you take them to where Amelia Earhart is?
Sure, I've got her on speed dial.
Yeah, right. I got you, Brad. I'll talk to you pretty soon. And I hope I see you pretty soon, because it sounds like the fares are moving in the right direction on this thing, and we'll all be able to jet set maybe adjusted for inflation. Maybe it'll feel like the 90s. Maybe it'll feel like the early 2000s. But it's jet service between here and there. And as I said, it's an overnight trip no matter how you slice it. So you better figure out what there is to do in Saipan to keep yourself occupied and keep yourself busy and fed and entertained. And
I would enjoy checking out Tinian. I'm a World War II buff, so going over there and looking at a lot of that World War II history, plus that's where one of the bombs was launched from. So.
I've been in that place. I have been in that place.
Went up there about 2 years ago just to revisit and got lost up on Northfield.
Oh, you did?
It's easy. You drive around on the old runways.
Yeah, and then pretty soon you're which direction am I facing? There's more about that, and maybe in the next hour, if we get some time to kill, I'll tell you about what I live broadcast that I did from Tinian for a big get together among people that were all infatuated and scholars of the Manhattan Project from the very beginning of it all the way to the end, right? The bright flash. And that was a fantastic get-together, day-long thing that we had. Fun. Hey, listen, traffic beginning to build coming out of Route 3 towards Marine Corps Drive. I'll give you the rest of the traffic picture a little bit later on. We are listening to KUSG Hagutnia. The radio station is The Point. The Ray Gibson Show continues after Fox News Live.
Going home for now. I'm Steve Rappaport, Fox News. Some residents in the Leilani neighborhood on Hawaii's Big Island allowed back to retrieve belongings after lava from a volcano forced them out.
They're letting people into part of that neighborhood where it's safe, but those below a certain line where there are still eruptions in that sulfur dioxide gas, they are not allowed in. So when people think of a volcano, they think crater or the top. Well, beneath that is an underground network of tubes and chambers with molten rock, that is. And following an earthquake earlier this week, geologists say lava levels in the Kilauea volcano fell about 500 feet, and right now that lava is bursting out miles away.
Fox's William Lajeunesse in Hawaii, the lava destroying at least 9 homes. Will President Trump invoke his Fifth Amendment rights if called to testify in the Russia investigation?
The president's legal team's biggest concern about a potential interview has long been that investigators would essentially try to entrap the president by getting him to perjure himself. Despite that, Rudy Giuliani is in a unique position here where his client, the president, actually wants to testify. In order for Giuliani to agree to an interview between the president and the special counsel, he has said that the questions would need to be narrowly tailored to specific topics and that the interview would need to be limited to no more than 2.5 hours.
Fox's Garrett Tenney in Washington. Special counsel Robert Mueller reportedly raising the possibility of a subpoena. Stay or go. President Trump has until Saturday to decide whether to withdraw from the Iran nuclear deal.
The Europeans are not going to reimpose sanctions, so where does that leave us and Iran? So I'm not necessarily opposed to sticking with this deal forever, but you need to have a clear idea about next steps if we are going to pull out.
House Republican Mac Thornberry of Texas on Fox News Sunday. The president saying he's open to a new nuclear agreement. Fox News, fair and balanced.
What would you do with unlimited internet? With Docomo Pacific, the possibilities are endless. Docomo Pacific is throwing off the data caps so you can enjoy more of the things you love. Watch, stream, download, and play with no end in sight. Stop by any of our stores or check out DocomoPacific.com to learn more. Life becomes limitless with Docomo Pacific. Better together.
Smoky Mountain Boy.
Howdy, folks. Can't get enough of my KFC Smoky Mountain Barbecue? I'm bringing more to Guam this month with my new KFC Smoky Mountain Grilled Barbecue Chicken. KFC's chicken coated with a sweet and smoky barbecue sauce. Oh, and by the way, Smoky Mountain Barbecue is still available on KFC's Extra Crispy Chicken and boneless strips. KFC, it's finger licking good.
That's all.
The first round before the final showdown in November. Voters in West Virginia, Ohio, North Carolina, and Indiana hitting polls Tuesday for primary elections.
In West Virginia, 3 Republicans are in a tight race for the party's Senate nomination on Tuesday. U.S. Representative Evan Jenkins, who was previously a Democrat, West Virginia Attorney General Patrick Morrisey, and Don Blankenship, who was recently imprisoned for a year. The winner will face incumbent Democrat U.S. Senator Joe Manchin, who is seeking re-election.
Fox's Brian Yennis. Driving just got a little more expensive. Gas prices rising 7 cents a gallon in the past 2 weeks.
This price, $2.90 for regular grade, is the highest since November 2014, 3.5 years ago. But it happens to be under the peak price by 81 cents. The peak was back in June of 2014 at $3.71.
Industry analyst Trilby Lundberg of the Lundberg Survey. The world gets its first glimpse of Britain's new royal.
The first official photos of the new royal baby, Prince Louis, have been released by the royal family. The photos were taken by the Duchess of Cambridge. The first one shows baby Louis with his oldest sister, Princess Charlotte. It was her 3rd birthday on the day this photo was taken. She's seen giving her baby brother a kiss. The second picture shows Louis awake and propped up on cushions. He was just 3 days old at the time. He was born in London on April 23rd and is now 5th in line to the throne. In London, Kitty Logan, Fox News.
Another super performance at the box office.
We got one advantage. He's coming to us. We have what Thanos wants, so that's what we use.
Avengers keeping the top box office spot, grossing $112.5 million. Overboard finishing in 2nd place, followed by A Quiet Place. I'm Steve Rappaport, Fox News Radio.
Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959, and they'll continue to be there for you in the years to come. Whether you're looking to get a personal loan for that summer vacation or paying off those long overdue bills, Family Finance has got you covered. Apply for a personal loan from $1,000 up to $3,500 by calling Family Finance in Hagåtña at 475-4545, Upper Tuon 647-5626, or in Dededo 633-4473. Family Finance has been serving the people of Guam since 1959.
One of the longest-running primary care clinics on Guam, the FHP Health Center, has been your convenient one-stop healthcare clinic for you and your family for many generations. FHP's highly trained and well-known medical, dental, and vision providers and their friendly clinical support team are here, ready to take care of you. In addition to the excellent care, FHP offers a full-service pharmacy, laboratory, radiology, and specialty care center in one location. FHP Health Center, our island, your clinic. Most insurance accepted, including Netcare, Aetna, and TRICARE.
Chili's Smokehouse menu just got tastier with their new smoked honey chipotle short ribs, marinated and smoked for hours. Try the smoked honey chipotle short ribs and chicken combo, or enjoy the family combo with mouth-watering honey chipotle short ribs, Texas-sized baby back ribs, crispy chicken, and juicy barbecue chicken served with home-style French fries and corn on the cob. It's the Chili's Smokehouse menu, now with smoked honey chipotle short ribs, available for a limited time. Chili's, more life happens here.
I'm a working mom and could really use more hours in my day. Thankfully, my non-electric Kinetico water treatment system has simplified my life. It's easier to clean my home with Kinetico conditioned water. No more scrubbing tubs or wiping water spots. Cleaners work better and last longer. And all the Kinetico drinking water we want is right here. No more lugging home bottled water. All this, and I'm saving money too, thanks to Kinetico.
American Water Tech. Smarter water. Better water. Call American Water Tech at 649-2301 or email info@americanwatertech.com.
Don't wait another day and waste another dollar. You can start saving today. At Guahan Insurance Services, we are here to help protect your investment and save you money. We offer insurance advising for business, car, and home insurance. So come and visit us at our new office at Camacho Landmark Center at Marine Corps Drive in Timoning, and let us show you that you can count on us for all your insurance needs. Call 475-1162.
Alpha Day and Good Morning Guam. News time here at The Point is 8 minutes past 8 a.m. this Monday morning. I'm Kevin Kerrigan. Here's a look now at some of the top stories from the Guam Daily Post. The root cause of the 2015 explosion at the Cabris 3 and 4 power plants will remain officially undetermined, according to a settlement agreement with the insurance company. CCU Chairman Joey Duenas telling the Guam Daily Post that the agreement leaves the cause undetermined, and as far as we're concerned, he said, the settlement has been paid and we're done. An explosion at the Cabras plant in August 2015 deprived the island of most of its efficient baseload generators and sent GPA racing to make up for the shortage in power capacity. The Guam Fire Department ultimately ruled the incident accidental. GPA had hired insurance adjuster Greenspan Adjusters International to negotiate a settlement claim. GPA signed an agreement with the insurer in February. While he did acknowledge that there may be public interest in determining the cause, Duenas said that the settlement is now behind them. The question of the causality is mute. 30-year-old Benjamin Jesse Pablo of Talafofo was arrested Friday night on sexual assault allegations. He was taken into custody following a chase during which one officer fired shots at the fleeing vehicle. Pablo is accused of sexually assaulting a woman at Epam Beach Park last week on Tuesday and stealing her car, a black Toyota Camry. GPD spokesman Sergeant Paul Tapau reports that Southern Precinct Command officers spotted the stolen Camry Friday night in Talafofo. They tried to stop it, but the driver sped off, leading to the chase. Pablo lost control of the vehicle, ran off the roadway, tried to reverse, hit a police car, and that's when one officer fired shots at the vehicle. Pablo then fled on foot into the jungle, but he was caught. He's being held on multiple charges, including first-degree criminal sexual conduct, car theft, and eluding a police officer, as well as driving without a driver's license. We'll have more news after this.
With the largest inventory of rental equipment on Guam, East West Rental Center is sure to have the tool you need to get your job finished quickly. From equipment rental, party rental, parts and service to used equipment, East West Rental Center has what you need. Call East West Rental Center at 646-1463 or visit them online and browse through their online rental catalog at eastwestrental.com. They're located in Upper Tumon, right across St. John's School. East West Rental Center, providing the island of Guam with quality equipment rental since 1972.
So you want to buy a house, but you don't know how much you could borrow. So what do? Well, you come to Bank Pacific and get pre-qualified. Sit down with one of our home loan specialists and let us see how much we can lend you so you know how much you can spend on your new home. Bank Pacific, where we're open to closing your loan in a hurry.
Bank Pacific, where others put branches, we place roots.
Equal housing lender, conditions apply. Come pre-qualified today.
11 minutes past 8 a.m. here at The Point. Take Care Insurance has appealed the Department of Administration's dismissal of its procurement protest to the Office of Public Accountability. The health insurer is challenging the procurement's requirement that Guam Regional Medical City Hospital be included in the network of any bidder who wants to become the exclusive provider of health insurance for the more than 11,000 GovGuam employees, 5,000 retirees, and their families. In a statement issued Friday, Take Care President and CEO Joseph Husline said they're asking the OPA to remove the requirement that the private hospital be included in the bid to qualify for the health insurance contract. Husline said that requirement restricts competition, and he believes it's a violation of Guam law. Today marks the start of a tax amnesty program for delinquent Guam taxpayers. Taxpayers have 3 weeks to submit their applications to qualify for the tax amnesty to the Department of Revenue and Taxation. It lasts from today until May 28th. The 10% down payment of the total taxes owed is due upon submission of the application for the amnesty. Delinquent taxpayers who qualify will then have until August 6th to pay off the remaining balance of what they owe in back taxes. All penalties and interest are waived. Only the principal owed has to be paid. The amnesty applies to all withholding, corporate, and property taxes owed on or before December 31st, 2016. GovGuam hopes the program will help make up for the projected $67 million revenue shortfall in the remainder of this fiscal year. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post. Here's Ray with some weather.
Yeah, I got the weather. I was just looking around for it a second ago. Partly, and the reason I got a couple of other things working on the computer here. A little bit later on, one of my favorite computer guys and doctors, Nate Berg's going to be in the studio, talking about something that is I think needs to be of interest to everybody. Cancer has recently touched my life, and we'd like to make it so that it doesn't touch yours. But if it does, you've got access to care. And there's a story that came out in Imaging Technology News that says breast cancer care in the territories here on Guam lag behind care in the States. We'll talk about some of the things that they're doing to resolve that particular issue. Partly sunny skies today with isolated showers. There's northeast winds up to about 20 miles an hour, decreasing a bit tonight. Highs near 89 degrees and overnight lows of about 79 degrees. The weather forecast on Facebook says, yeah, have an umbrella handy because it could actually rain on you at some point today. Let me see if I can bring up the satellite imagery here on the internet screen and see if it is beginning to look like that might actually happen. Apparently have to make some adjustments on where Guam is on that map. There's no Guam on the map. Okay, we're okay. But basically, what you might be looking at, what you might be seeing here down around the bottom of this, is some weather that is happening in the region. And out over to the way east of us now is what did you say that was? 97
W Invest.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a developing system. It's not expected to get very strong, and it's going to move away. And what you've got the map centered over here is Yap Palau area, and the one you can see just to the right of that, that's not designated. It was 96W, but they know it's not going to form. What it is, it all forms a very massive complex of trophy activity. It's typical for this time of year. You can see 97W up there starting to look kind of like an embryo.
Yep.
So it may form into a minor tropical depression.
But closer to where we are, you were talking about this, this body of weather and thinking it's going to be coming up later today, but it looks like we're at the fringes of that now.
We are just at the very fringes. If you look at the, the upper center portion of our screen, immediately to the left of that big blob. Yeah, now that we're in the middle. Yeah. And you can see that blob of clouds off to our southwest. That's slowly creeping up this way as 97W moves off to the northeast and away from us, and it's going to drag that back behind it. But all of this energy is supposed to dissipate a bit as it drags itself away, and we're not supposed to get a whole lot of rain. But again,
we got weather coming in from the south, guys. That's the point that I want to make here. And if you don't have an umbrella, find one before you jam. It's 8:15 in the morning. That's news and weather together on The Point.
Manila, Osaka, Fukuoka.
Dreaming about your next vacation? With the FHB United Mileage Plus credit card, you can get 10% off on United Airlines flights from Guam to Manila, Osaka, or Fukuoka when you book your ticket by May 31. Book your flight on United.com at a United City ticket office or your local travel agency using promo code FHB18M. Visit FHB.com/United Fair Sale 18 for more details. Terms and conditions apply. First Hawaiian Bank, Equal Housing Lender, member FDIC.
Thank you, sweetie. The Ray Gibson Show brought to you by King's Restaurant, serving Guam favorites to families like yours for over 40 years. King's Restaurant, always open, always local.
Morco Equipment on Ipao Road wants you for the U.S. military buildup on Guam. At Morco Equipment, you'll be involved in the sale, rental, service, and support of their customers' equipment. Customers who have proudly purchased or rented Freightliner and Fuso trucks, Hyundai and Bomag construction equipment, or Kohler diesel generators. These customers rely on Morco Equipment's expertise to keep their equipment running smoothly in the Guam tropical environment. Morco Equipment is now an employee-owned company. You can be part of the employee-owned company team. Find out more on their website at morcoequipment.com.
Is there more? Am I supposed to? Do I? You know what? It's in the book, right? You put it in the book? You have it? Because I haven't seen that one yet today.
This one?
Yeah.
You did it earlier.
Oh, that one?
That one.
Oh, I was looking at the other one. Oh,
no, not that.
Sorry, I was thinking of security title.
Yeah.
I got that one. Providing solutions for complex real estate transactions. That is security title.
Mother's Day is the sweetest at Cold Stone Creamery. We're celebrating Mom with lemon pie ice cream and strawberry shortcake ice cream, a rich and dreamy ice cream cake, or strawberry passion ice cream cake. Only at Cold Stone Creamery, making fresh batches of ice cream in every store.
Also available is an exclusive mango shortcake ice cream cake, layers of moist yellow cake and mango ice cream wrapped in a fluffy white frosting. An array of delicious Mother's Day ice cream cakes available only at Cold Stone Creamery, located at the Guam Premier Outlets and the Micronesia Mall.
Ray Gibson brings you closer to the action. Watch and listen live on thepoint.gu.
Yeah, buddy, that's the idea. And Facebook Live and all over the place. Ton of people have been on all morning. Ton of people online right now. And so we're just going to kind of jump into it. I'll get to some of the names, the important names that are online. But I've got an important name on the line. It's Sports with Blake.
telling you.
Right?
I still come down and see me. I got these F-150s. I need to move. I got to move them this weekend.
It's a big boy sale
Yeah.
Tuesday.
0% APR.
Wait a second. I just said a client name, so don't throw any deals. Because they'll go, what did Gibson say?
What?
Zero what?
What do we have?
So just playing around, because this sounds like it works for sports, and it also works as a great car dealer spot. Music bed.
Like one of those blowouts weekend sales, you know, they have at car dealerships.
I know exactly which ones.
Sunday. We got to make way for all the 2019s. The 2018s got to go.
So a special guest on the phone to get to him real fast. You got any major headline sports we got to talk about right now? No? Okay, so I get to our special guest on the phone even faster. Good morning, Dr. Tom Shea. Are you there?
Doc?
I pressed the button.
Is he there, Doc?
It's Monday, right?
Doc.
It turned into Monday real fast.
Yeah,
The
Mondays.
Maybe he got buzzed while he was on hold.
Could
and he had to run.
Doctor, the baby's head is coming out, right?
That's true.
It's time. Hop in.
And he will actually run there. He will run through the hallways. He will run there. He's probably running. You know?
He's running to the phone now, saying, "I don't know what happened, but I'll figure it out in a second." We'll tell you why he did. But I'm sure that there are a couple of things that you were talking about today.
There are. I went to the Manahawk run. I decided to wear it today. My shirt here. I wore the Manahawk run. Sisters of Mercy.
Yes.
Infinite Product. Sisters of Mercy. Get it right there. Down at a cathedral, Plaza de España, the historic Hagatna Trail. And I had a good time. There was a lot of people down there. And Ray, I walked away with 3, not 1, not 2, 3 raffle prizes.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So shout out to the shout out to the Manahawk 2K 5K run for the Infinite Pride and the Mercy Heights. That's so much fun.
I needed to get some mileage in, so I did a 10-miler on Saturday. It was one of those things.
Yeah,
I guess I better. I'd woken up late. Was the thing. I woke up a hair late, and I said, okay, I'm not going to make the 5K, and for my punishment for missing that, I ran 10 miles.
Yeah, I pulled in to do my morning shift over in Boss, and truck's out here, and I'm like, I got old Kevin. I'm like, Kevin,
why is Ray's
truck out here? He's like, maybe he's on a morning run.
Ray fall asleep in the control room fixing something overnight.
No, it's just that I like to park here and use that as my as the base for the run. So yeah, he comes in to do the morning show on the Boss and goes, today's not a weekday, is it? It's not what the heck? 20 after 8, right? 20 after 8. Now I think we've got Dr. Tom Shea back on the line. Good morning, Doc.
Yep, can you hear me?
I got you now. And welcome to the program. The reason why I called is I wanted to alert the island to the news that you have finalized the list of finalists for the Shea Su Ying Scholar Athlete for 2018.
Yes, I have. It was really tough. It was a record year. So we ended up with 18, fantastic 18 of Guam's very, very best scholar athletes. So the program has gotten so tough because it's 18 years that we're running straight. I think this is probably the hardest, one of the harder years, but we have a lot of great athletes. We had to trim it down, so I feel so bad every time I have to do that. I wish I could afford to keep everybody in, but 18 is a record number. So those are the 18 that's going to come down on June 3rd, and then we'll announce the male and the female winners for the year. So it's going to be a great night.
But you know what? I know it's tough to have to whittle this down, but that's why you've got some standards. We want some high GPAs. We want some superior on-field, on-court performance from these guys. 119, is that what you started with?
Well, 119 AP courses that was taken. AP IBH courses, so it's actually...
Oh, I see what you're saying. So, no, I misread that. So it wasn't 119 applicants, but all told, these finalists account for 119 AP, IB, and honors classes. The average GPA is 3.96, which is about 20 times bigger than what I had in high school. Like I said, my GPA was my GPA was negatives. They were negative numbers, Doc.
I don't think I would have made this list. But the toughest part about all this is that we had to turn away students who had over 4.0s because the scholar athlete is not just about getting the highest GPA. Right. It's not just about we have to turn away some really strong athletes. So it's not about you're excelling one or the other. It's a combination of both. On top of that, the criteria, you can't smoke, you can't drink, you can't do drugs, and you have to have a good citizenship. So it's really, really tough. So we're talking about a cream of the crops here. So, I had to turn away a lot of students who have 4.0s.
Mm-hmm.
I really feel bad about that. I had to turn away a student who excelled in super athlete, but then, academics wasn't up there as par. So, but I came down with 18 of the wonderful students. I'm going to congratulate the parents, the schools, the teachers, the coaches, athletic directors. And, Tony Thompson, by the way, sent me an email before, the nominations came in. So the two of the FD athletes, they should really thank Tony Thompson for calling me, a week prior to his passing. So, I want to recognize Tony for that. And
Nice.
It's really great to see a lot of the private and public schools together in one night. So I hope we continue this for another year and maybe another 10 years to come.
Well, and the great prizes, it's not like they were playing for them, but now that they're in the competition, everybody is going to get an iPad, one of the new iPads, and the winner's going to get that MacBook Air, right?
That's right. Yeah, everyone. I had to order in 18 iPads. This is the latest generation iPad, so you can actually use the iPen, the Apple Pen. And
nice.
the Mac Air is still, to me, one of the best computers. You'll get an 13-inch Mac Air, and the winners get the iPad, Mac Air, and $2,000 each. So, it's a great year. And I hope I don't have any ties,
Ties are going to be tricky.
Man, that was bad.
He
All
feeds everybody, too.
And everybody gets
Everybody
fed.
gets to eat.
Doc, I'm going to let you run here. I want to read the names and congratulate them on the air, but I want to make sure that you had an opportunity to let at least them and their parents know the finalists are out, and everybody get ready for the big gala night and the big award ceremony. June when?
June 3rd, Sunday
Gotcha.
night, 6 o'clock at the Doucette.
Gotcha. I'll talk to you soon, Doc. Have a fantastic morning. All right. Looking at the list, some of these names you'll recognize right off. Eddie Wang from Harvest, Ethan Yatar, star at St. John's, Anissa Topaznia from Southern, Aaron Anulau from Notre Dame, Michael Menn at St. John's, Victoria Smith from the Academy. He was talking about Tony Thompson writing letters. He did that for Kai Akimoto and
That would
Brent
be Torgen
Salas.
Smith's daughter, by the way.
That's right.
Tori.
Right. Alejandra.
Standout tennis player, of
You
course.
think? Alejandra Ada from Academy of Our Lady of Guam, Gavin Lee at Harvest. There's Takumi Simon from St. John's, Tammy Wustig, student at Notre Dame, Pillar George from John F. Kennedy High School, Dorian Calvo at Academy, Emma Sheedy from Guam High.
Miss Earth.
I've had the pleasure of running with her. Haley Sen at St. Paul. Chloe
Senny.
Miranda. Is it? Did I say that wrong? Haley Senny.
I know all these kids.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I was going to say from St. Paul. Chloe Miranda, also from St. Paul, and Mariana Kier from Notre Dame High School. Congratulations.
I know. I'm going to guess I know 90% of these names here.
Covering the games and everything, right?
Yep. And since they were freshmen.
Oh, sure. I mean,
now they're
all these
seniors.
kids have been knocking around with Mason forever. So
Alejandra Ada, Ali Ada, she actually, Tony Ada's daughter, she just signed to go play rugby at Dartmouth, Ray.
I heard.
That's really awesome. And former winner, actually, when I hosted it last year, R.J. Robert Kranz won, and he went on to Yale. He is a Yale Bulldog, and you know what he told me he was going to major in? You know what he wants to do when he's all done with Yale?
What's that?
He wants to be a sports statistician.
Yeah. That's a hard word to say.
Yeah, he wants to.
Any
He
day of
wants
the
to.
week.
He wants to take. He loves numbers and sports so much. He's going to combine them. He wants to be a statistician. Maybe
So it's
work
kinda
for like
like
the Elias Bureau or
Yeah,
something.
it's kind of like a facts accountant.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
where like if you see all like the records on ESPN,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Somebody's gotta do
They
that.
always
Somebody
cite Elias Bureau, and Elias Bureau is just like this strong mental stronghold of very smart stats and past sports records from all the sports
I
gone by.
always just figured it was just guys that knew stuff, right?
I mean, there are some of that.
But still.
Yeah.
Even though
but
you're
still.
doing coverage for a 4-hour game.
I have a story here I wanted to pass on to you, and
Yes, please.
This is really just to within earshot of Kevin Kerrigan to see if I can perk his ears up a little bit. Boston Bruins wing Brad Marchand has decided he has no rules and will not be tamed by the NHL after they requested the player stop licking opponents on the ice.
Geez, we never used to do that. when we played hockey.
No.
Ryan Callahan became the most recent victim of Brad
Sound like a
Marchand's
Kanye West story here.
Brad Marchand's tongue in Game 4. The Lightning hold a 3-1 series lead, by the way, after winning Game 4 over Boston 4-3. After the game, Callahan spoke about getting licked by Brad Marchand, and said, quote, "I don't know what the difference is between that and spitting in someone's face." Well, the league has stepped in, and licking will no longer be tolerated. NHL's Colin Campbell spoke with Boston's
What a
Brad
bunch of
Marchand.
killjoys.
The league put the player on notice that his actions last night were unacceptable. Similar behavior in the future will be dealt with way of discipline. And it was apparently this is an issue because NHL also went on to say, "Hey, Jets and Predators, you've been warned too. Quit licking people."
You know, a quick elbow uppercut during that lick would stop that.
This is
real fast.
This is the interaction here. This is what's going on in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Oh, that's gross. Okay, he just showed me a picture of a guy licking another guy in the face. You know, there's other websites. If you're into that thing, there's other websites you can go to. We don't need that on the sports.
What's the strategy behind that? I mean, what's the point? I mean,
Just to get in their head.
Yeah, just to get in their head.
Just look how close I can get to you.
Because, hockey, they let them, like the refs just kind of let them fight to an
Why
extent.
do you use your fist? That's what they usually do.
That's what this did get. I mean, like the guy that he licked just kind of, did give him a shove to the jawline.
I mean, that's a foul, though, right? I mean, if you wanted to get in somebody's face, you give him a punch in a lip, right?
Not in hockey.
Did get you the penalty box? No,
not in hockey. Not initially. Now, like, if you fight for a long time, and then, like they let you fight until somebody falls down, and then they'll assess the penalties. So that's why I guess maybe only in hockey. There was an issue. Speaking of the playoffs,
the one time in my life that hockey has been interesting to me.
NBA. Lance Stevenson a couple years ago when the Pacers were taking on the Heat and the Cavaliers, or the Heat and LeBron James. Lance Stevenson, every time he would guard LeBron, he would blow in his ear. There's a GIF of Lance Stevenson blowing. And like LeBron even reacts. He kind of looks over, just rolls his eyes and side glances. And the internet has taken it and they put a meme. So now Lance Stevenson's like a reptilian. And when he blows, a tongue goes through, and then it goes through LeBron's head and comes out the other side, waves, and comes back through.
There's musicians and sports people, just the freakiest freaks there are on the planet. It makes the stuff that we do around here tame in comparison. 8:29, 8:30, in fact. Listen, I'm going to let you run. You got the rest of the morning show to do over on Star 101, and they've got similar technologies over there. There are places you can go to star101.gu and watch what happens in the studio as Blake is doing his thing over there. Very, very fun concepts that we deal with here in Choice Broadcasting. Bottom of the hour, and do I need to take a break before we get into the headlines? All right, let's do that. Kevin Kerrigan with this morning's headlines news from the Guam Daily Post coming up next.
Security Title is honored to join in sponsoring Ray Gibson on The Point. I'm Kim Anderson of Chalanpago, and this is where I start my day, listening to the voices of our community and sharing thoughts about issues that affect all of us. It all boils down to our people and our land. Protehi Itanotmo, protect your land. When it comes to your family land, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
Yeah, well, we're talking about hockey players licking and stuff. Traffic's managed to get even busier on Route 3. If you're turning into Route 3, you might expect a delay moving off Marine Corps Drive to get in there. Traffic on Route 3 trying to get to Marine Corps Drive. A little bit hectic this morning. Traffic in and out of Agana through a couple of places at Route 4. Looks like it's beginning to congest up a little bit over at that Bank of Guam intersection. Maybe that's the Agana Shopping Center intersection. Oh, it's both of them. And also traffic coming down off of Route 8 onto Route 7A. That's the one that takes you by the Agana swimming pools that are apparently green right now. That has got some additional traffic on it. Should clear up just before you get to the swimming pool and everybody makes that turn into the Agana Shopping Center. Otherwise, traffic on all of the usual roadways are in their usual state of building up and getting a little bit heavier. That's right now traffic on The Point.
In this divided world, there are still a few things that unite us. The thrill of an exciting championship game.
Fires to the end zone. Touchdown!
The sound of great music.
The Grammy goes to...
And the love we have for that perfect burger. Ruby Tuesday Guam presents to you For the Love of Burgers menu. For a limited time, we want you to put down that fork, tuck that napkin in your collar, and go for broke with an amazing burger for just $11.99. 8 burgers to try, and time is a-wasting. Ruby Tuesday Guam lunchtime. See you soon.
Now we'll jump into this so we can jump into something else. It's the Ray Gibson Show on The Point, and now time for headlines from the Guam Daily Post. Here's Kevin Kerrigan.
Half a day and good morning, Guam. In the headlines from the Daily Post this morning, 30-year-old Benjamin Jesse Pablo of Talafofo arrested Friday night on sexual assault allegations. He was taken into custody following a chase during which one officer fired shots at the fleeing vehicle he was in. Pablo is accused of sexually assaulting a woman at Ipan Beach Park last week on Tuesday, then stealing her car, a black Toyota Camry. GPD spokesman Sergeant Paul Tapau reporting that Southern Precinct Command officers spotted the stolen Camry Friday night in Talafofo. They tried to stop it, but the driver sped off, leading to the chase. Pablo lost control of the vehicle, ran off the roadway, tried to reverse, and hit a police car. That's when one officer fired shots at the vehicle. Pablo then fled on foot into the jungle, but he was caught. He's being held on multiple charges, including first-degree criminal sexual conduct, car theft, eluding a police officer, and driving without a driver's license. A pedestrian struck by a car on Saturday night died early yesterday morning from his injuries. The man was trying to cross Route 16 in Harmon near the Iglesia Ni Cristo Church when he was hit by a silver Toyota RAV4 about 7 p.m. that evening. He was rushed to GRMC, where he died shortly after midnight yesterday. The driver of the RAV4, who did not want to be identified, told the Guam Daily Post at the scene that the area was dark and he didn't see the man until it was too late. GPD's Highway Patrol Division is investigating. This was the 7th traffic-related fatality this year on Guam's roads. 4 boys and 1 adult man were taken into custody late Friday afternoon at JFK High School when the school's Islander Day celebration ended in a riot. Teachers, staff, and school resource officers responded to the incident. They called police. The 5 individuals were arrested and charged with rioting, disorderly conduct, and assault. There were no injuries in that incident. For these stories and more, log on to postguam.com or pick up a copy of today's Guam Daily Post.
iConnect time in the studio. I've got 8:34. Connect longer for less with iConnect's incredible mobile and push-to-talk plans.
Circle K has just made it easier to select products that are better for you and your healthier lifestyle. When looking for items that are low carb, low sodium, low calories, low sugar, high in antioxidants, or high in protein, just look for the easy to spot better for you labels so you can find these items at a glance. Come by and see for yourself. It has never been more convenient to fill up on anything and everything that are better for you. Circle K. Take it easy.
Yeah, sometimes it takes a couple of minutes to see some changes in the profiles that I'm looking at on the traffic gizmo. And in addition to traffic moving smoother now on out of Route 3 towards Marine Corps Drive, it looks like some of that has just shifted over. Yeah, there's still a couple of problems out there, but not on Marine Corps Drive and not in that particular vicinity. Now the traffic issues are going to be out in Mangilau, not too far away from the intersection that will take you to the back road, Route 15, along Price Elementary, etc. That area there is beginning to show signs of congestion as people are making their way to the university and to Guam Community College and to GW, etc. Otherwise, you look for maybe a few more cars on some of the usual roadways on your way into the office here today. It is 8:36, more on the way. Dr. Nathaniel Berg and I are going to be talking about breast cancer next.
Ready to buy real estate on Guam? Congratulations! But what now? There's so many questions, so many things to do. Where do you start? The best place to start is to call Century 21 Commonwealth Realty, Guam's biggest name in real estate. They aren't the best because they're the biggest. They're the biggest because they're the best. Trust the name. Find out why. Call Century 21 Commonwealth Realty today. 888-2121. Trust the best.
Here I am trying to explain to somebody how radio works, and I'm, wait a second, he's done a radio show in his life before. Dr. Nathaniel Bird with me on the program. We're just exchanging a little bit of pleasantries here today, and he asked me how I'm doing. I said, well, I lost my father to cancer just last week, and so it's touching my life now, and we do everything that we can to make sure that as much as possible we can get out in front of that with people working with the American Cancer Society. But if you get it and you need to be able to figure out what kind it is and where it is and how best to attack it, first up is going to be somebody that can look inside your systems, and you've got some really cool equipment over at your place that does all that.
We do. And in fact, first let me extend my condolences to your family.
Thank you.
I was privileged to know your dad through Rotary.
Yeah.
And as a patient on occasion as well. And you're right, we do have an ability to look inside people, and it's not just with my special X-ray vision. It's with, as you said, very fancy equipment that we're quite proud of. And many people...
Everybody there is proud of it. I spent some time with a girl who works in your office named Eunice, who was talking about the cool technology and the science that keeps everything connected, keeps the data private, and all of the magic that you guys do over there. So it's one of those things that people brag about where they work. That's nice.
Well, that is nice. And in fact, I think it's important to know that it's not just what equipment you have. It's kind of like I like to tell people that you could give me the horse that won the Kentucky Derby over the weekend. I don't think I'd win riding that horse. So it's important that you have people like Eunice and others who take extraordinary pride, who keep up to date, and make the horse win the Kentucky Derby, if you will.
We'll spend a little bit of time talking about the technology, but the gist of this came from an article that you had seen. Every industry has got a trade magazine, and I guess in your industry, the trade magazine is, what is it, Imaging Technology News. And the story here, somewhat alarming, breast cancer care in the U.S. territories lags behind care in the States. Now, in terms of territories, we're lumped in with all of the rest of the territories, but I'm sure that the data that is expressed here in this article will ring true for Guam. Between 2008 and 2014, they looked over all of the data and the patient care cases. This is a Yale study, right?
That's right. It's an important study because we all suspected, we as in those who are providing healthcare out here, suspected that we were lagging behind, despite enormous efforts and I would actually say enormous gains in breast cancer screening over the last 20 years that I've been here, or 25 now, that there have been incredible strides. But we knew that I like to, being a scientist, I don't often use the word I knew or know. We say I suspect, and we want to look at the data. Particularly when it came to indigent or the poorer members of our community, the underinsured and non-insured, because of the way the Medicaid programs and the MIP programs, it's not their fault, it's the way the law is, that they didn't cover to the standards that the rest of the community, those with private insurance and indeed covered under Medicare, they were receiving less screening. In fact, today they still receive less screening. Hopefully that will change. There's been a bill introduced that would force them to, or legally bind them to allow women to get the standard that Medicare gets. So we suspected that that there was a lag in care here on Guam, and this study confirmed what we suspected. And it's true in other territories as well, in that we are significantly behind. It estimated 25% of the women were not getting the care that they should be able to get here.
Starting with just being able to find out if they're sick.
Right, and they're
just
presenting
the investigation,
correct,
the presenting of the disease.
Right, and we have some ways to go in terms of speeding up the process once we identify that something is abnormal. We want to be able to more rapidly have them be able to get treatment, and that remains a problem on Guam. There are still quite a few people who fall between the cracks, who say are working part-time and they make a little too much money to qualify for Medicaid or MIP. They can qualify for the breast cancer and cervical cancer detection program. Keyword being detection. It doesn't cover treatment. So we would detect cancer and then we don't have any ability to get them paid. Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's a big issue, and it's an issue that the community has to tackle. We cannot have people diagnosed with breast cancer who don't have an ability to get it treated.
What's alarming about the report, the story, I have not yet seen the report, but what is alarming about it is in the territories, and I'll from here on out use the word here. I presume that we're the same as everybody else,
We were
and the numbers
covered,
would be the same. But even less likely to get that diagnosis. The needle biopsy is one of them as an example, and they're less likely. Our women here, right off the bat, are less likely to be able to get that biopsy.
Correct, and that is for various reasons. There has been an improvement in the understanding of the primary care physicians with regard to more rapid referral of patients when we see something abnormal on a mammogram. We still have, we have excellent physicians by and large on Guam, but we still have a large number of patients who come to our office for a variety of reasons, say for an abdominal ultrasound,
right.
And we ask them, and they have not had their mammogram. So
from jump, this is important, and one of the reasons why for years and years and years you've heard announcements, and there's always conversations, and there probably should be more about self-examinations. If you find something, go and see a doctor. And like so many cancers, and there are a number of different, as I understand it, varieties of breast cancers. Some of them more aggressive than others, some of them easier to detect than others. If you find something, if something is out of place, get to the doctor and let's get some kind of biopsies going. But make sure that you've got that kind of self-examination, annual physicals, that kind of thing. Stay in touch with your doctors, because you're a little bit handicapped. You're behind the 8 ball in terms of the access to care, even when you found that.
That's correct. So that it becomes particularly important in Guam to get early detection because of the still present delays in getting referred for proper treatment, as you mentioned. So here, it's critical that patients be aware and ask their doctors or other healthcare providers. Say, hey, I'm due for my mammogram. Yes, we do send screening out reminder letters, but people move, and sometimes those letters don't get to them, or they get them when they're during a busy day and it sits in a pile somewhere. So it's important that women be their own advocates, and that their loved ones also advocate for them and remind them, hey, it seems like it's been a long time since you had a mammogram. You ought to consider asking your doctor for one. And I think
it's not just it's not just in the month of October, right?
No,
it's got to be a year-round thing. It's a reminder.
It's constant, and I think it's important also for women to understand that you don't need a referral. While currently MIP and Medicaid require a referral, which we are hoping will change with a bill introduced by Senator Luis Borja-Muña. But they should not be required to have a referral, and no one else is required to. And they can simply walk in and say, I haven't had my mammogram in a year, and I'd like to get my mammogram. The obstacles to screening for breast cancer should be as few as possible.
As is the case in a lot of medical issues. And then once you are diagnosed, there is less likelihood that you're going to get the kind of treatment that you need in the territory.
That is true. And I think part of it is educating physicians, but a lot of it is educating patients, so that we have patients that come in and I talk to them about their abnormal mammogram and say, you ought to consider getting a biopsy, and I try to explain to them. And many of them fear that a biopsy involves surgery, that they're going to get so-called TV chemotherapy, which is where pretty harsh stuff where they end up losing their hair and feel extraordinarily sick. And they say, well, I'm going to die anyway if I get it, and it's not true. Now, granted, there are some cases with aggressive breast cancers where the chemotherapy can be rather harsh, but the vast majority of women who are diagnosed with early-stage breast cancer do not experience such the experience that you look on TV of people with chemotherapy who look rather sick. That can happen, but by and large, with early diagnosis, that is not the case.
That's what we're trying to avoid.
That's right.
That's what we want to avoid in terms of the treatment. There are other ways to treat, and depending on how early it is and depending on what kind of cancers it is that we find in you, there's possibilities that may never happen to you in the course of your treatment. But do you find out, and you've been doing this long enough here, do you find that there is a mindset here of people that might give up too early, and so we found something, we did the mammogram, we found something, and let's take these steps, and people go, well, I'm scared. It's the fear of the confirmation, right?
Fear it plays an enormous factor in why many women themselves avoid coming in. They know they're supposed to come in for their screening mammograms, and they avoid it for fear of hearing that word cancer. And ironically, you'd think that if someone had a sister or a mother who was diagnosed with breast cancer, that the rest of the relatives would come in more often, and would be those coming in asking for screening, and actually a lot of them don't. Particularly if the relative died of breast cancer, they're scared to come in, and the fear actually overwhelms them to a point that they can't really see through it, that they need to come in early so as not to die from breast cancer.
I wonder if that's a cultural thing, or if that's something that doctors see all over the place. I mean, I imagine that there might be and other peculiarities of the territories. English is a second language, and maybe an inability to understand or comprehend what could be going on.
That is absolutely true. And we know that those who struggle with communication, oftentimes. What will happen is a patient will say, "Oh, I don't want it," and if you have difficulty communicating, if you can't take the time to spend with the woman and try to explain to her why it's important, address her fears, then you'll lose that opportunity for an early diagnosis. And so we, and I think other clinics have done this as well, we have a large number of people in the clinic who speak different languages. I think we're getting close to 20 now of people who speak Palauan and Chuukese and Korsrai, the language of Korsrai, and Pohnpeian. Forgive me if I'm not I
don't know their names
saying
either.
the names of the languages exactly right. But we have Korean speakers and Chinese speakers and people who can address people, as properly said, culturally sensitive, to be able to talk to them in a manner that will help to understand where their fears are coming from and to overcome them so as to provide better care for the patient.
How are we doing with radiation? And could be, the article specifically refers to that, and the likelihood, the less likely our patients, once they're diagnosed, will have access in a timely manner then to the radiation.
And it's interesting because we have increased access to care now on Guam. There are enough places that can provide mammography for the entire community.
Right.
There's enough radiation therapy available. There are 2 excellent radiation therapy facilities on Guam.
Is that recent? Because again, the survey, the data goes back between 2008 and 2014, and yours is a very fast-moving business around here. Despite the fact that some people might think that things are moving fairly slow, it's just in the last couple of years we've opened up a whole nother hospital around here. There are all kinds of new clinics, new kinds of clinicians around here, and there are a lot of people that are devoting their practice to oncology.
Yeah, it is true that since then there has been a significant and rapid change, and it's happening more rapidly.
Good.
So GRMC added radiation therapy as well, and there's also the Island Cancer Center in the Guam Medical Plaza. So both of them are providing high-quality radiation therapy, and we also have something new called stereotactic core biopsy, which has replaced most of the old needle localization biopsy. So now a patient can have a biopsy completed on an outpatient basis, laying on a table in 45 minutes, later leave the clinic for calcifications that used to require surgery. Now the majority of the times it does not.
How long does it take after the materials have been extracted for a biopsy?
It takes typically about 5 days, 4 or 5 days. Interestingly, you should say, because we send all of our pathology gets sent to Queens in Hawaii, in part because the pathologists at the hospitals here, there's only one at each, and they are overwhelmed and they're busy, so it's actually quicker for us to send it to Hawaii. And they, at least for us, they know that if in 6 calendar days I don't have the pathology report, I will be on the phone telling them, give me the report, so they get it out within 5 because they don't want my calls.
Yeah, well, we got to deal with the dateline too. Right. So there are those things, and the faster you get access to that information, the true or false, right? The faster we can map out a plan on how we're going to attack and beat these cancers. And early detection is so important. But it's the access, which is another point that they made, is the timely access to the treatment. So the faster we can get the biopsy reports in, the faster we can line you up with the different doctors that will zap that cancer, and hopefully that will prevent its growth.
And I hope we're better now than since 2015 in coordinating care. Places like our facility, we have Sarah, who is our women's imaging coordinator, and Otta, who coordinates all of our interventional procedures, and they work together as a team. So they're constantly looking at the reports, and if the reports recommend a biopsy, they're very quickly coordinating it with the doctors, whether it be the surgeon's office or the primary care providers, very, very quickly. And even the VA now and TriWest are very quick to respond.
The coordination of care is important, and so I'm glad that we got an opportunity to talk about that. And my familiarity with a number of different cases is sometimes you need a navigator to take you through all of these different processes, and depending on where the treatment is going to be, is it going to be here? Are we going to try to get to Hawaii? Are we going to take this to California? Are we going to take it to the Philippines? And there's a ton of different options for people depending on what they're comfortable with. But sometimes it comes down to what they can afford. So we got to get back all the way back into the bottom of this issue and say, what is it about living in the territories that makes it that much more difficult for the women here to be able to get access to the biopsies, access to the treatment, and then access to the cures?
I hope it's
because they point out in the article they can go right after the federal government. And
they
say,
do.
We need more federal funding.
The funding is terrible when it comes to Guam, and they point about Medicare. But I think if you look at the real article of this that this comes from, it's CMS, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, and I think that most politicians on Guam and most healthcare providers are aware of the problems we have with Medicaid. And I just returned from the Federation of State Medical Boards meeting and met with all of the, I happen to be the chairman of the Guam Board of Medical Examiners, and I met with the chairs of all of the territories and non-contiguous states. So I met with the folks from Alaska, Hawaii, Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, and the CNMI. And
see, Alaska and Hawaii is good to have in our back pocket because they have people that can vote.
They get a lot more money.
Yeah.
So we we met, and they are, the Federation is helping us to coordinate a group effort. The way it works right now is that with Medicaid funding is whatever the state spends, the federal government will match those Medicaid funds based upon the level of poverty within the community. And so a state, I think California, for example, gets something like 25% or 30% matching funds. A state like Alabama, which sits at the far end of the spectrum, gets 100%. Whatever they spend, there is no cap. Whatever they spend on Medicaid, it's matched. The territories are not allowed to do that, and we're capped.
It's a 40. How many was it? 44% of the population is under some kind of assistance.
We should be at 100% like Alabama.
Yeah.
And in point of fact, all of the territories are, and that is part of the reason why the federal government Congress said no, we don't do that for the territories. It's horrific. It's discriminatory. It's to me unbelievable that they say if you live in a territory, you don't get the same quality care as you do if you live in the states. The big issue has always been Puerto Rico, because we are looking at somewhere maybe around $20 million additional in funding for Medicaid if we had.
If it were us, what would it be for Puerto Rico?
$400 million. And that's why at least $400 million. And so Puerto Rico, the people from Puerto Rico are looking at me saying, they're never going to do it. And I said, they will if we band together.
Yeah.
And Alaska and Hawaii join us in this argument that it's a discriminatory process for those who live outside the U.S.
Yeah, but unfortunately, we've all got hundreds of years. I mean, the decades and decades of being treated like redheaded stepkids, right?
This is a process that doesn't make sense. If you're going to allow the territories to participate in Medicaid, and we do,
then reimburse us the same as you would the states,
and so
or eliminate the stateside reimbursements.
Right,
it's got to be fair, parity.
It has to be equal, and that I think when this article pointed out that the funding is inadequate relative to what we should expect if we were states. If we were a state, I don't see personally how that makes a bit of difference in terms of the quality of care that the government wants to have for its citizens. But we are going to fight that battle, and that's being organized now. And I'm really proud of our Guam Board of Medical Examiners, which has taken a front row seat in that, which so far has been unsuccessful.
Talking about the guys over at Public Health, this ought to be the governor's quest. He's not doing anything else between here and the end of his term. I think this would be a great legacy.
It would be, and he'd have to. And indeed, I plan on meeting with the governor because we'll need all of their support.
Let me. I appreciate you coming and talking about this. I've got Carl on the line, and Carl has had cancer in his life as well. For those of you that are wondering about the article, I've just posted it on the Facebook Live. So just go there on Facebook and just click on the link, and you'll be able to read the article. Good morning, Carl. You're on with Dr. Nate Berg.
Yes. Good morning, Ray, and good morning, Dr. Berg. We've dealt with Dr. Berg when my wife was going through, some various treatments or tests for her breast cancer. I just wanted to come on and plead with anyone that's listening. Please do not put this off. late 2009, my wife had been putting off having her mammogram, and because it was very busy at work, she worked at a hotel and the pastry department, constantly, the deadlines all the time. So she kept putting it off. And by the time she came in, she called me one afternoon, and I got those words. She told me they found a spot, and I found out later it was metastatic invasive, and I had no clue the ramifications of those two words. Once the cancer becomes metastatic, and once it becomes invasive, the problem becomes much more complicated. If you can catch it early enough before the cancer started to spew out cancer cells into the lymph system and the bloodstream, it's much simpler to deal with. So I would plead with anyone that's out there, any women, my wife's decision led to a 6-year battle with breast cancer. The last year was the most brutal experience I've ever gone through, and the most brutal experience I've ever seen anyone go through in my entire life. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. So please, do not put it off. It was a fatal decision for my wife.
Call today. If you don't remember when the last time you had a mammogram was, if it doesn't stand out in your head, call today and make an appointment. And if you are not of means, call today and make an appointment anyway. We'll figure out how to get this stuff paid for.
Indeed, Carl, I'm very sorry for what you went through with your wife. And I appreciate your calling, because if you may be able to affect just one person listening. And I want to emphasize what Ray is saying. We will not turn any patient away. Those patients who fall through the gap, we'll still see you. We'll find a way. Nobody has to pay up front. We will find a way for any woman who needs a mammogram can come in today. If you haven't had one in a year, we'll get you scheduled. And second, we will accommodate. If you think situations like where your wife is working all day long, if you called up and said, I can't come in till 5 o'clock, we'll find a way. We'll find a way. It is our mission to get every woman who needs a mammogram in as quickly as possible. Just tell us, I need to come in at 6 in the morning. We'll come in at 6. We'll accommodate.
Carl, I appreciate your time, and Doc, I appreciate your time as well. Thanks very much for alerting me to this. I mean, it's an interesting article to begin with, made that much more interesting based on relevant things in my life. And maybe the next time I get you on the radio, we can talk about how we're talking about a women's health issue. There are men's health issues.
I'd look forward to it.
We can address. I'd like to make this a regular thing, if you know what I mean. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. The radio station is KUSG. That's Dr. Nathaniel Berg. Telephone number for his office?
649-1001.
Easy to remember, and call it now. Call it right now while the news is playing from Fox News. Again, we are KUSG Agana. Fox News coming up next. I don't have Kevin Kerrigan in the next hour. We've still got plenty of stuff to talk about. So stick around, Brown. The fun continues on The Ray Gibson Show.
The GOP versus the DOJ. I'm Steve Rappaport, Fox News.
Last week we sent a subpoena, and then on Thursday we discovered that they are not going to comply with our subpoena.
House Intelligence Committee Chairman Devin Nunes on Fox and Friends this morning, threatening to hold Attorney General Jeff Sessions in contempt of Congress.
Congressional investigators are looking into allegations that the Obama administration abused surveillance warrants in order to spy on associates of the Trump campaign during the election. Now, the documents that they've requested contain classified information, and they appear to be documents related to one specific unnamed individual. In a letter to Nunes on Thursday, Assistant Attorney General Stephen Boyd said after consulting with both the intelligence community and the White House, the Justice Department determined it was not able to provide the documents.
Fox's Garrett Tenney in Washington. President Trump's legal team not ruling out pleading the Fifth if the president is called to testify in the Russia probe.
I've got a client who wants to testify. Please don't. He said it yesterday.
Presidential attorney Rudy Giuliani on ABC's This Week.
I hope we get a chance to tell him the risks that he's taking.
Special counsel Robert Mueller reportedly raising the possibility of a subpoena. Lava still gushing from a volcano on Hawaii's Big Island.
For the last several hours, police have been allowing people back into the Leilani neighborhood. Well, now they are coming out, and we have seen trucks and trailers filled with everything. Washers, dryers, bikes, surfboards, you name it, pet beds, their pets, everything they can get their hands on, because a lot of these homes are not going to probably be here. 9 of them we know are gone, more in the future in all likelihood, what geologists say.
Fox's William Lajeunesse in Hawaii. The departure terminal at Seattle to Tacoma International Airport reopened to incoming vehicles. Airport officials saying they shut down and evacuated the terminal out of abundance of caution because of a suspicious package. Fox News, fair and balanced.
From September 17 to September 19, 2018, the Archdiocese of Agana will be conducting settlement conferences with victims of clergy abuse. If you have a claim and want to meaningfully participate in the September settlement conferences, call Hope and Healing Guam at 1-888-649-5288 before August 1st, 2018. All conversations with Hope and Healing Guam are confidential. If you have filed a lawsuit against the Archdiocese, you are already included in this settlement process.
Morco Equipment on Ipoh Road wants you for the U.S. military buildup on Guam. At Morco Equipment, you'll be involved in the sale, rental, service, and support of their customers' equipment. Customers who have proudly purchased or rented Freightliner and Fuso trucks, Hyundai and Bomag construction equipment, or Kohler diesel generators. These customers rely on Morco Equipment's expertise to keep their equipment running smoothly in the Guam tropical environment. Morco Equipment is now an employee-owned company. You can be part of the employee-owned company team. Find out more on their website at morcoequipment.com.
The nation is at a crossroads with the Iran nuclear deal. President Trump has until Saturday to decide whether to stay in the multinational agreement or pull out.
Many members of Congress are concerned the Iran agreement is, as the president would call it, a bad deal. Among them, a non-Republican. Joe Lieberman on Fox's Sunday Morning Futures says the deal gave away America's leverage.
In return for a pause in their nuclear program, if they're keeping their word, which they don't have a good reputation for doing.
Lieberman says Iran also got billions in cash it uses to support terrorism. Allies like England want to convince the president to stick with the deal, and its top diplomat will present those options in Washington this week. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
The squeeze at the gas pumps just got a little tighter. Prices rising 7 cents in the past 2 weeks to a national average of $2.90 for a gallon of regular.
Where we go from here will depend mostly, therefore, on what crude oil prices do. If the Iran risk, tensions related to that country and some other spots around the world, if that's built in, then we may see the end of the retail price hike soon.
Industry analyst Trilby Lundberg of the Lundberg Survey. The asylum process underway for more than 100 Central American migrants admitted to the U.S. last week.
It's not an easy thing to get, according to San Diego asylum attorney Ginger Jacobs.
If the asylum officer determines that person or that family has a valid claim for asylum, then they will be referred to an immigration court judge to have a hearing in their case.
Some are detained, others are released pending that hearing. The process can take months. U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services says even if a claim doesn't meet the standard for asylum, the person can end up having a defensive asylum hearing before an immigration judge after they're in removal proceedings.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. The Trump administration saying the migrants tried to undermine the rule of law. I'm Steve Rappaport, Fox News Radio.
Capture moments with Mom forever and remember her special day.
Hi, Mom. Even though I always think about you a lot, you've been on my mind lately, especially with Mother's Day coming up. I'm definitely the proudest of all to be your daughter. Happy Mother's Day, milady. I love you.
Happy Mother's Day. Get $50 off Samsung S9, S9 Plus, and a free wireless charger. Some conditions apply. Docomo Pacific, better together.
Is it time for me to say, let's go eat at King's? Come on, fried chicken for breakfast, let's go. No, you're not adventurous enough for fried chicken. I got you. All right, so here's the deal. You may go and have regular old breakfast. You just need scrambled eggs and some fried rice and some bacon and
they do
toast.
They do that with the hash browns
and toast. Oh yes.
Oh man.
There's they have many different things that you can order. It's not just, okay, I want eggs and bacon and toast, right?
Right.
Would you like some of this with that? Would you like how about some pancakes, sir? You like a pancake? Yes, we do the pancake. So whatever it is that you think you want for breakfast, just imagine it in your head and go there and tell them, and they'll do it at King's.
Security Title is honored to join in sponsoring Ray Gibson on The Point. I'm Kim Anderson of Chalanpago, and this is where I start my day, listening to the voices of our community and sharing thoughts about issues that affect all of us. It all boils down to our people and our land. Protehi Itanomo. Protect your land. When it comes to your family land, remember to call the professionals at Security Title, just like you call Ray Gibson in the morning.
Hey, it's your stomach again. Subway has all new signature wraps, and around the water cooler, the other stomachs can't stop talking about them. Chipotle Southwest steak and cheese, turkey, bacon, and guac, rotisserie-style chicken Caesar signature wraps. Listen, if I'm honest, as a talking stomach, I don't have a lot of life experience. But I do know one thing. These signature wraps are jam-packed with meat. So what are you waiting for? I'm growling over here. Subway. Make it what you want.
The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts of Guam Training every morning on The Ray Gibson Show.
If I only had $1 for every time this happened, if I only had $1 for every time that happened. Have you ever said something like that? I'm Jerry Roberts, and at 7:20 a.m. on The Ray Gibson Show, we get into the untold riches we'd all have if we only had $1 for every time.
You can find daily transcripts of The Extra Point by Jerry Roberts at GuamTraining.com. Tune in every weekday morning at 7:20 for The Extra Point with Jerry Roberts on The Ray Gibson Show on 93.3 The Point.
The Ray Gibson Show. News to fill your mind. Talk to get it out. Turn it up. Now tell a friend.
Get the thoughts out of your head. I know how it is. Because there was a time I wasn't on the radio every day. I tell you what, this.
You know what it sounds like when you can't get the thoughts out of your head.
Yeah, I do. And then even on Friday when I wasn't here, right? Everything else happening, and I'm thinking I really should still be on the air. I felt. I know. It would have been difficult, but there was still a part of me that said I need to soldier in because the Pop always said the show's got to go on, and it did. It did. I took the morning off, got some head clearing going on, got to goof off with the Chamber Gala, which was terrific. And somebody said, "Are you gonna cancel your MC work?" I said, "Absolutely not. I can't think of a better place to be." I was in a room with 500 people that knew and loved my father, so you better believe I was getting a lot of people that were happy to express their condolences, happy to tell me about some of their memories with my old man. It was absolutely a great way to do it. But I still felt guilty about not doing the show on Friday. And there were a bunch of places where I'm thinking, man, thoughts. I've got ideas. I was in the middle of everything else, also getting news stories and updates on things that I was gonna talk about on Friday, and I'm going, well, this is gonna have to wait until Monday, I guess. That's what's gonna happen there. A couple of notes on the Facebook Live. Hey, John Wigston, I see you there, and Jeff Evans is doing his thing. Huffa Jeff, Mo Cotton. See, Jeff beat cancer not that long ago. He's telling the story on Facebook. Those of you that follow him know about that. My buddy Rick Leone, Brenda Richard Senna is there. Josephine Leon Guerrero. We were talking about different ways that people need to remind themselves about going and getting their mammogram, right? And as I said, if you don't remember the last time, then make a call. Go find Nate and the guys and let them doctor you up on that. Josephine's plan, Josephine Lujan Guerrero says, my reminder is my birth month. And what a great way to do that, right? So it's sometime in the month of whatever for Joe, and she'll line up one of those things. Now I'm going to hate this, and I don't want this is not one of those poor pitiful me things, right? But it's my birthday on Friday.
That's right.
And this is the birthday where I have to get a new driver's license. Oh,
nice.
Doesn't that sound like an adventure, doesn't it? What a great way to come spend your birthday with all of us here at the Department of Revenue and Taxation. Now, the only thing that I got going for me this time that I didn't last time, I'll be 56.
Aha, you get to be in the short line.
I'm in the senior citizen line. I'm going to be there with Bob Klitsky. Hey, Bob, how you doing? Bob, are you there?
I am here, Ray, and I'm doing better than I deserve.
That's the way they say it, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So what's on your mind, sir? Hey, is there still any beetle nut on that tree that you and Lulu have?
I'll go out and check it and see what I can do for you, Ray.
All right, I appreciate that. Anything else going on?
Well, Michael Knight called about 8:30 this morning, and I was doubly in error. I was away from my landline, and I was not listening to the radio, so that's
rare.
Yeah.
Okay, so now, and the reason why we're reaching out here is something that we were talking about last week. It's this story with the Chamorro Land Trust properties out in Barrigada that just gets bigger and bigger, and frankly, I'd like it to go away because it's taking all of my time and attention off the Troy Torres, Derek Hills phenomenon. But anyway, with regard to that, just some things that are going on that just it feels like people are taking advantage of the rules or the lack of rules in order to get their names bubbled up around the top of the list for those now available Barrigada Heights lands.
Exactly, and it doesn't look good, does it, Ray?
No. It's now we get this. There's something that, you know, as I said, we talked about this the other day. Is how is it possible that that you might be able to exchange application dates with somebody in order to, like I said, get your name to bubble up a little bit closer to the top? Doesn't sound like you ought to be able to do that. I mean, if you applied in 1995, then you applied in 1995, and it should be first come, first to be served.
Well, if you were to look at the law, the only way that property can go from one person to another is when a lessee dies, and the land would go to whatever a will says, or by intestate succession, if that person were eligible. That is, if that person were a Chamorro. And I understand also that it's sort of like a life insurance policy where you can list a designee who would take your place, or would ascend to the title or to the lease in case of your death. But I wasn't able to find any authority for an inter vivos transfer. That is, that the person who drew the number gives it to somebody else. I was not able to find any authority for that. And my analysis would be that if there's no statutory authority, it ain't possible.
Which leaves us the next point that needs to be made is somebody has got to complain about that. Maybe there needs to be a class of the other 6,950 people who are not lined up for prime Barrigada Heights land to go and fight that and appeal the decision that was apparently made by somebody in the administration, and not the government administration, but in the administration of the lands. So somebody's got to come out and fight that. And then what will the courts be able to do?
Well, if someone is occupying land pursuant to a lease that was void ab initio, and then the court says the lease is void and you're going to have to leave.
Yeah.
So I think that's a distinct possibility.
So as long as it's doable, this Bob. This is where I am on this. I am annoyed because from all of the conversation that we're hearing, everybody wants to continue to look at it, and I'm calling for a full-blown all stop on anything having to do with the Chamorro Land Trust Commission. It is my sense that people are going to continue to look at it, and we'll investigate it, and we'll pray over it, and we're going to do the Indian rain dance over this thing, and then people are going to still be able to move into and exploit these properties and exploit their hookups, and we're never going to be able to get these people off that land once they're on it.
I agree. So the commission ought to have established a complete moratorium and freeze everything in place as it is right now. That should be their first task. And then the second task would be for either the commission to take the bull by the horns and appoint someone to go in there and root out all of the wrongdoings and bring whatever they find back to the commission for the commission to void.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. I'd go and, who I'd call, honestly, because I trust them, is Ron or Kim Young over at Security Title. I mean, they know all about this kind of business, and they know how to do the forensics, if you will. They're doing it now with the lands. and when they do title searches and all of those things, it should not be that much more difficult to go and find the forensic activities that took place between Bob Klitsky's application in 1995 and his getting the property in 2018.
That would be a worthwhile solution, to get a title company to do it, because they would have the expertise, and you wouldn't be able to accuse them of operating out of their own self-interest.
Mm-hmm.
The commission has the charter, but perhaps not the inclination to fix what it actually allowed to happen over the years anyhow. So the commission doesn't come to this with exactly clean hands and say we're, quote, asleep at the switch all this time. Obviously, if it comes to the director of land management, Mike Bora, he's pretty well demonstrated how good he is with documents and disclosure. So,
well, and we got the act of contrition, didn't we? There was at least one Chris Barnett program where it felt like he was making an apology, act of contrition.
I would
the mea culpa. Yeah, well, I might be exaggerating what it was. I heard he looked like he felt bad about making the admission, though.
Yeah, it was more along the lines of self-actualization. He realized that he really could have done better, and that he will do better in the future.
Busted.
So
and tomorrow the word is magat.
Yeah. And the Attorney General, Ray, is no solution either, for a couple of reasons. One, because she has such a horrible track record in dealing with official misconduct. You remember over 3 years ago, she opined that the governor had given illegal retroactive raises.
Oh, that case is dead. It's dead.
It was a criminal offense. But then she also said that, well, since I issued an opinion on it, I can't be involved in the prosecution, causing me to wonder, why didn't you just prosecute it in the first place if it was a crime?
So we're supposed to get, special prosecutor on this, and they stopped looking.
Well, and she was able to, or someone was able to fumble that one until most people think the game's over. The game's not over, because the statute of limitations for official misconduct doesn't expire until 3 years after the government employee leaves office.
Well, here's the problem, and it's not just the idiotic math that they used, all right? So we made these illegal pay raises, and then we asked the people to pay it back. But instead of them actually paying it back, they gave them another check and said, write that back to us. So in this case, 1 + 1 = 0. As B.J. Cruz said, Adelup is where math goes to die. And now the other problem is, and you know, somebody in my family received one of those illegal pay raises, even though he wasn't working there at the time. They gave him the pay raise, and he was smart enough to put it in a bank. But the problem was when he turned it back, he had already paid the taxes on that.
Sure.
For which he has never gotten compensated backwards for it.
And he may never be able to because, you know, a tax liability does accrue when somebody pays you money,
which they did not factor in.
No, and on the mathematics, Ray, I've discovered a way of using that same reasoning process if you're stuck with a blanket that's too short. This happens to me all the time, being altitudinally challenged, you know. So I had this blanket that if I pulled it up around my chin, my feet stuck out by about a foot. So I just cut a foot off the top of the blanket and sewed it on the bottom, and everything was fine.
Nut. All right, Dave. 20 after. I don't know what to do about that.
But anyhow, the Attorney General, number one, she's shown that she doesn't have the gumption to go after official corruption. Number two, if you followed the whole certificate of title kerfuffle that she and I were engaged in a couple of years ago, she reversed herself for no apparent reason other than what people would perhaps consider an insufficient reason at best. And then third, her assistants have been working in that office ever since. There is an assistant attorney general assigned to the Department of Land Management who, where was the assistant attorney general when all of these things went down.
Somebody should be watching, but it feels slushy and it's making me crazy. This morning's news: Senator Frank Uggan sent a note to the U.S. EPA. U.S. EPA says, "Yeah, this is really interesting. Talk to the guys over at the Guam EPA, and apparently they have been silent on this ever since, as you say. And so this is what I'm calling for this morning. I need somebody to look over the names of property of applicants." And see if there's anybody over at the Guam EPA that is on that list. And it's possible that the reason why there is a resounding and big noise of silence coming from there is maybe they got the hookups too and don't want to tip over the apple cart. Now, normally I'm not in for that kind of sinister thinking, but this just feels icky, and it feels dirty, and it feels corrupt, and it is possible that exactly something like that is happening. They ain't going to say anything because they lined up too.
You know, conspiracy always starts in the mind of one person.
Yeah, but, I like to think I'm not capable of having that kind of larceny in my heart, right?
Oh, no, but I think you're smart enough to recognize it.
It's possible, yeah, that there's the possibility out there. Anyway, hey, listen, I'm going to let you run, Bob, and we'll see what happens next. But until somebody of some real authority starts using the word moratorium, I'm not holding any hope out. I got a feeling that something else will pop up and steal the gleam off of this particular set of headlines, and all of a sudden there's going to be some new people that by virtue of their contacts and who they know, as opposed to what they've earned, are going to start getting some primo land in primo property.
Seems possible, Ray.
It's in all likelihood. I'd be surprised if it didn't happen. 9:23. I'll talk to you pretty soon.
Okay, Ray.
Here. Let me give you another thought as we play around with that. Can you imagine? And and the reason why I'm asking it this way is because it's exactly the way it was asked of me. Can you imagine the crucifixion that would be taking place if this was Carl Gutierrez's administration?
Oh, wow.
Can you imagine the crucifixion that would be taking place now? But everybody else, we're just going to take a look at it. Yeah, it's possible there's a couple of gaps here in understanding and in the policy. It's okay. Don't worry. Everything is going to be okay. Hey, look over there, something shiny. Oh, don't look over there. Look over here. Look at me. Hi. And what's it going to be? Do you see where everybody's patting themselves on the back over this memorandum of understanding between DPW and BOC? What a laugh there. 9:23. Later, do not let me end the program today, Michael Knight, producer, without playing, again, Jerry Roberts' Extra Point.
Okay.
It's worth playing, and for no other reason. For those of you that join me after 7 o'clock in the morning, and not everybody wakes up at 6. Not everybody is up early with us, and so you might sleep in a little bit, start moving around 7:30, 8 o'clock. You're in the car, but we do a thing at 7:20 or so. Jerry Roberts, JQ Funny, he does a thing called the Extra Point, and today's is so good it demands to be played again.
We'll throw that in at 9:52.
9:52 is a good time for it. It's 9:24 in the morning. And as I said earlier, big congratulations to a number of companies in the private sector that were recognized and awarded over the weekend at the gala, the Chamber Gala, on their 94th anniversary of the Chamber. And one of the things that we do, like I said, that's for the private sector, but it's nice every once in a while to take a look at some of the things that have been done, the accomplishments that have been made in the public sector. And today we are going to begin the celebration, if you will, of a number of days worth of celebrating for the Guam Power Authority, celebrating 50 years as a public entity. Good morning, Patty Diego.
Good morning, Raymond. Good morning, Guam.
I like the way you start that off. Good morning, and good morning, Guam. So no power outages to report this morning. Everything is going good with the system, and happy anniversary.
Well, thank you. 49 years, 364 days, that's today. And tomorrow will mark the 50th anniversary of the operations of the Guam Power Authority to the day when the utility was enacted. The Guam Power Authority Act of 1968 became law on May 8th in 1968. So we want to share with the people of Guam the historical milestone, of course, and to note that we are continuing to progress, to move forward, and it's a day that we will sign a proclamation.
Yeah.
Also, we will be signing, the governor will be signing into law the bill that was 223-34 on the land zone rezone to prepare us for moving forward in building Guam's next and newest power plant.
Nice.
And as well, we're going to be having a recognition from the 34th Guam legislature. All in all, it's a day for really Guam to take notice of their local power authority, and also to say thanks to our stakeholders, our partners from the military, from the private sector, from the public sector, some of those who have won the awards you mentioned in the Chamber of Commerce. We have partnerships there. And of course, then our governance in the CCU, the former board of directors, the current employees, the current management team, all in a way to say that we're here and we're moving forward. Are we a perfect agency? No. But we're life critical, and we're making changes and new technology additions and many other evolutions we're going through. And tomorrow, on May 8th at 10 a.m., we're going to sign a proclamation here at our buildings in Fadian.
We think about it, and like anything else, if you've only got the one power company, there's a lot of demands that get placed on it, a lot of criticism. But over the years, and certainly with the guidance of the Consolidated Commission on Utility, and as well as I always thought that one of the smartest things that they ever did was to put John Benevienti at the helm of the power company. And frankly, I'd always wanted him there. I remember it. I mean, he wasn't always the boss. I mean, the guy comes up kind of through the ranks, so it was important for me to be able to see him take over that particular job. So I'm delighted. I know he's got some things going on in his life, but I'm sure that this is a day for these days are going to be days that he's very proud. So the question that somebody might have is going, well, if GPA itself is celebrating their 50th anniversary tomorrow, where did we get electricity before that? Where did we get our power from 50 years ago?
Well, we were definitely, recovering, becoming a modern society following the wartime, and then moving forward as our own formation as a community, through the Organic Act, et cetera, et cetera. But we were partners. Before us, it was the U.S. Navy that was tasked with building the first infrastructures and getting the plant ready. But then as we started to develop as our own society and community, there was legislation with the goal of having and the intention of them turning it over so that it belonged to the people of Guam. And we went through the challenges that were many from the early, late 60s, early 70s. Not only were we building the backbone and getting the bond financing that we needed and trying to put a structure together, which, if it hadn't existed before, was a major challenge. So we've come through all of that, and we want to say that it's an evolution we've come through. And though the challenges were many, we continue to move forward. As you know, Ray, our business is complex. We have, the generators where you make the power. Then we have the transmission and distribution where it has to come out and reach the people. But then you need the planning with the engineers. And then it would be nothing without the finance people, and to make sure that, we have those obligations all taken care of. And then, of course, we have the customer service that has to make sure that we reach out and remain connected.
No, customer, that's not their job. The customer service's job, Patty, is to make sure that somebody's there to answer my phone and reconnect when I forget to pay the bill.
Well, hopefully it's not only for that, because we're trying to we have made progress in solutions and more convenient ways and technology ideas and discussions that can help bring power to you, as it is today in a modern way. But of course, every utility will bump through those situations of, late payments or meter issues or line losses, all those types of technical things. But tomorrow, we want to just call attention to say that we know that that we're here, but we want to remain connected and be partners with our customers for the future. And there are new and exciting things to come in the 20s.
Is there free electricity? So electricity is going to be free this week? Can we discount?
Free?
Discount?
Not in this utility, Ray.
I got you. I got you.
You know how it works. We're regulated not only with the CCU, but we have the PUC, and the money belongs to the people of Guam. So we have to do our fiduciary responsibilities.
All right, so just free for me will be fine. Patty, I got to run. Bottom of the hour. It's always exciting, and as I said, please send our congratulations and condolences to JB.
I will, and thank you for those kind comments. He's definitely one who has come up through the ranks, and he pours his heart and soul into it. Thank you so much, Ray.
He's always been there when we needed him. I'll talk to you later. It's 9:31 in the morning. You're listening to The Point. I certainly will. This is KUSG, and going to take a quick break and then come back with Mo Cotton, who says there is a scam out there. Really? Okay. We'll find out what that scam is, and if so, tell you how to avoid that. It's 9:31, almost 9:32, and that's iConnect time. Connect longer for less with iConnect's incredible mobile and push-to-talk plans.
In this divided world, there are still a few things that unite us. The thrill of an exciting championship game.
Fires to the end zone. Touchdown!
The sound of great music.
The Grammy goes to...
And the love we have for that perfect burger. Ruby Tuesday Guam presents to you For the Love of Burgers menu. For a limited time, we want you to put down that fork, tuck that napkin in your collar, and go for broke with an amazing burger for just $11.99. 8 burgers to try, and time is a-wasting. Ruby Tuesday Guam lunchtime. See you soon.
At Micronesia Renewable Energy, values matter. So all of their solar energy systems come with guarantees and the most value. No shortcuts, all quality. It's giving you that solar energy system at the best price. It's using highly efficient solar panels with typhoon-proven racking, built by highly skilled local technicians, so your system performs and saves you money. It's total peace of mind all the time. Not all solar companies are created equal. For experienced quality solar, it's MRE. Call 632-2613. MRE, the smarter choice.
Don't wait another day and waste another dollar. You can start saving today. At Guahan Insurance Services, we are here to help protect your investment and save you money. We offer insurance advising for business, car, and home insurance. So come and visit us at our new office at Camacho Landmark Center at Marine Corps Drive in Timoning, and let us show you that you can count on us for all your insurance needs. Call 475-1162.
Ray Gibson Show on the Point. Hey, Rebecca Gibson Kyler watching. Gene Bustillo Tabobo, nice to see you there. Tess Cruz, Hava Tom watching. Dave Duenas, Jeff Evans, John Wigston, who haven't I mentioned yet this morning? Cousin Julia Lane Underwood out in North Carolina, listening on the back porch. There's Malou Milligan running for office, and I think she's got a fundraiser on, it's Friday, right? Friday, but where's it going to be, Malou? I don't have a ticket to anything like that, so let me know about that. I see Nate DeKnight, who was doing Facebook Live yesterday from that art exhibit. I don't know, maybe you caught it. I don't know. He probably made it a video on demand, so if you know Nate, go to his page on Facebook and see if it's still there. There's Paris Blas, we'll always have Paris, Joe Cepeda, and Lynn Perez, and Brad Hewitt, and Liel Gonzalez, and did I say Mo Cotton already? He's online, and he's also on the line. Good morning, Mo.
Hey, hi. Yeah, a couple of people have received a strange email. Just want to pass the word that this is a scam, and there's my wife calling me. May, I'm okay.
He's on the phone with Ray.
I'm outside, and I'm getting called from my wife. Anyway, the email has to do with offering you like $50,000. It comes from a local person and says that if you need $50,000, call this number. Well, I didn't call the number, so I don't know who's behind it. But for a while, I was playing along like, oh, what's it all about? Blah, blah, blah. And this was a friend of mine, so it was communication back and forth. And finally, I said, I think it's a scam. I'm going to call the FBI, and that was the last I heard of them. But I called the person who I thought I was emailing to, and he had no idea that we were communicating. And then, remember Joe Stoll?
Sure.
Okay, he sent me a message saying, do I want $80,000? And I wrote back and said, what's it all about, Joe? He said, well, all you have to do is here's a contact. You call this person and let me know what they said. And so I did the same thing, kind of played along to get more and more information. But I wasn't going to make that call because my guess is that once you make the call, you're on their list. And,
they bring out the number. So what you're saying is you're still short $80,000.
Yeah, I'm short that $80,000. You use it. I told him I know, and I said I don't think I would qualify because it was the implication was if you really need money. Well, if everybody's going to need money,
yeah,
so probably anyway. And I think it comes from a list from Facebook, but the actual communication comes in on a blue messenger button that's attached to email. I don't know what you call it.
I never click on those. Yeah. I mean, the worst thing is that you're going to end up on somebody's list, and they'll know that you will react. That's the number one. But number two is when you do that and you load up the HTML of that website or whatever it is that they're pitching you to, you don't know what other code is now coming into the computer. So you always be real careful about that. Whenever I see an icon, especially if it's from somebody I don't know, I'll take a look at it. I'll let the cursor hover over it, and then I'll right click on it and do a view source because I want to see where this is actually going.
The problem with this one is that this actually comes in from people I know. And then once it gets in, I'm communicating with them, and I finally will end up with, I think it's a scam. I'm going to contact the FBI or something like that.
Yeah, well, I think you're doing it right. I would do it too, just for fun. I will. I'm trying to remember who it was. I've got 2 or 3 people that I know on Facebook, and they show up in my list of people that I either know or people that are looking to make a connection. And every once in a while, I'll go, maybe I disconnected from this guy, or maybe he disconnected from me but wants to reconnect, and I'll go ahead and re-add him. Glenn Leon Guerrero from DPW is an example. Glenn Leon Guerrero, and no sooner did I re-add him to my list, I get a note from him that says, "Hi, how are you doing?" Well, Glenn Leon Guerrero would never ask me, "Hi, how are you doing?" Glenn would go, "Hafaray, how's it going? How's Shelley?" He'd start with that, but he wouldn't go, "Hey, how are you doing?" And so I always answer with my pat answer on these things is, "Give me a couple of minutes. I'm praying."
Give me your number. I'll call you back.
Yeah, so it's one of those. If people know me, know that's probably going to end up being the last thing I'm doing at any particular time of the day is deep in prayer. Hold on, I'm in the middle of my novena, and so please, and get back to you. And depending on what their answer is, because if somebody gets a note from me and says, "I'm sorry, I'm in the middle of prayer right now," they think that I was scamming them.
Well, that's a good answer.
As Paulie Carlson at Quentos once told me many years ago when all of a sudden it looked like everything was moving to the internet, he said, the internet is like anywhere else. There are well-lit places and there are dark places. So do your best to stay away from the dark places, and remember sometimes even the things that look like they're coming from a bright place might actually be coming from the dark evil web.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Can I give you one more reminder? Let's change the subject.
Sure.
Real quick, our Rotary Club Sunrise is doing a race on the 12th of June, and 16th of June. It's a Saturday, of course, and it's with pets. People who have pets can join because we got 2 separate races: a 5K and a 2K for the men men or women with their pets.
Nice.
Last time it was real. Good with hardly any advertising. We had 40 people out with their pets. I'm sure we'll have more if we can get you to remind people. I'll get on maybe the line before the race. But I just wanted to throw that reminder out.
I will be happy to read the announcement frequently and with vigor and excitement to get as many people as possible to support your race.
You are a super guy.
All right, buddy. Well, back at you.
Ray from now on.
Takes one to know one. I'll see you later, Rotarian Mo.
Okay, buddy.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Ray Gibson Show until it's not going to be anymore, and not quite deep into the small talk portion of the program. Well, close enough. Close enough. Trying to think of where was the small talk that I wanted to do today. Is there any? Just a couple of other references. Josephine Lujan Guerrero says her birthday is also Friday, May the 11th, but she will be 72 years old. I'm only going to be 56. So if we show up to get our driver's license at the same time, you can go in front of me at the senior citizens line. What do you say? How about that? And earlier, just for no reason, we were talking about let's go to Saipan, which is in the CNMI. About, I don't know, 45-minute plane ride from here. But we're going to take the jet when United starts flying up there. That's what we're going to do. And then it will be, I don't know, 45 minutes between here and there. I don't remember the jet actually getting us there any faster than the prop airplane, but it's a jet. And the aircon will work better, I think. And there might even be some kind of service. I haven't sorted that out with the guys from United yet. What the cabin service is going to be like.
I mean, even Muse Air and Southwest gave you peanuts. I mean, come on, man.
Who is it? No, there was one of these airlines have stopped handing out peanuts. Period.
I forget who it is. Yeah,
they're just recent headlines because they were all freaked out about peanut allergies.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is apparently a real thing.
It is a real thing.
I had no idea.
Yeah, it's.
I just thought it was just one of these things.
It's more real than gluten. Just saying.
No, you and I are on exactly the same page there. So my buddy Red in Turbio, who is with Calypso, and they're an advertising agency. How do I define them? Because there's a lot of advertising agencies. These guys are top-notch creative, and they get into the mind of the client, and they know the mind of the consumer, and they try to marry things up. So their creative is spot on, and a lot of strategy, a lot of tactical thinking that goes into working with Redden. But today has nothing to do with that. Redden says, Ray, let's go to Saipan. Let's go. And he says, I remember doing fair sale ads to Saipan for the cheap just in the early 2000s, and I'm glad to see a jet servicing that route again. I agree. And I'm not going to look at it as a negative that they're only flying up once a day. It's a jet, for heaven's sakes, and it's a pricey fuel, and the cost of being able to just provide that daily service between here and there, I have to imagine, is a little bit more consuming than if we were doing that prop plane. Multiple jumps a day. I'm just saying. So I kind of get it, but it just means that we're going to be there overnight. It's not like we're going to be able to fly in, fly out. So the idea here is we go up there and we do a fam tour, and we hook up with the hotels, and we hook up with the car rental companies, we hook up with the beer guys. Just so I got something to do, and then we hook up with all of the tours and the excursions, and then we put together an absolute blast fam trip up to Saipan. So we were talking with Brad Rosala earlier today, and I completely botched the name of this place. It's Casa Urushima. Casa Urushima.
Hey, if it's got casa at the beginning of it, it gets my vote.
Well, I think it's just fun because it's got a Mexican word in the front and a Japanese word in the back. This is okay.
Mexicanese.
Do we have taco rice? I love taco rice. Nice. I love taco rice, and trying to get that as far and wide as possible. There are not enough places on Guam where you can buy taco rice.
Sushi enchiladas.
Yes. Why not?
It can be.
Why not?
Yes.
So maybe we'll experiment on it up in Saipan. So, but the problem is, and I think what I want to do is take the entire morning show. We can get somebody in here to press the buttons, and we can approximate a little bit of what you do up in Saipan. In fact, I know people up in Saipan. Maybe the guys over at Power 99 will let us use their studios so that we can broadcast back to here.
There we go. See. Nice. What's the inaugural
Power
flight?
99 is a competitor. There's a competitor company.
They always are. So.
What's the flying time?
What's the inaugural date of the new flight?
I think they said June 1st.
Right? That's a Friday.
So,
okay.
Well, here's what we do. We're not going to miss. We're not going to make the inaugural flight because it takes off at 7 o'clock in the morning on Guam. So we got to be here, right? So we had to do the show on the Friday. We'll take the next flight Saturday morning.
Okay.
So we'll go up Saturday, and we'll do all the tour stuff, and we'll record some interviews and stuff, and then we'll do a show on Monday, the actual full blown show Monday from up there, and then this is Romeo's idea, right? Romeo suggests that what we do after that. This is Romeo Carlos from Guam Blog. GuamBlog.blogspot.com, is that right?
I believe
not blog,
so.
No, it's not. It's Tumblr. .com. Anyway, so Romy's idea is what we fly up, but we boat down.
Okay, yeah.
So this is where we wrangle in another client. I'm trying to do this so we don't pay for anything. So the other client is APL, American President Lines. You remember we had Charles in here not that long ago?
That's right. He said he was good for the trip too.
So we do the broadcast, and then we goof off. No, so we fly out. We goof off for 2 days, do the morning show, and then at the end of the morning show, we go to Sugar Dock and get on the American President Lines. Guam, I think, is the boat.
Right.
And then we take it's I think an 8-hour ride.
Yeah, something like that. So we're back here in time for dinner. And,
happy hour?
Yeah.
I don't know. What's 8 hours? Is 10, 8 hours, whatever it's going to be, 8 o'clock at night. We'll be home in time to be back on the air for the Tuesday show.
Absolutely.
That's the way I'm trying to put it together. I don't know whether I will be able to be successful on this, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that I haven't even talked to United about doing a fam trip. It's all just in the fertile mind. A lot going on in there, and some of it's got to get out on the air. We have been, what's the word I'm looking for? Grossly negligent this morning in any real news gathering or reporting duties. Kevin came in with the news, and I just been riffing on all kinds of other stuff and grabbing a phone call here and a phone call there. But frankly, there's plenty to talk about, and maybe tomorrow we'll get to plenty of it, because there's the very interesting things are they closed the Agana swimming pool, right?
Right.
And then they opened the swimming pool.
Right.
And then they forgot to buy chlorine or something, because there's a story about how these kids had to go in there this weekend and have a competition or tryouts or something like that. But the water had not been, if it had been hit with shock, then it was still cloudy. It had not turned. So the water was still green, and obviously if the guys were going, if we didn't have to do this trial thing, then we would have begged off and done it at another time.
I think if the water gets to green, it's already too late.
Yeah, I think if there's a color, I'd be very wary about that. Not a doctor or anything like that, but when my brother and sister were small, if I let the pool go green, they didn't go inside.
That's
Yeah, and the other rule is, once the frogs get to it, yeah, it's time.
Yeah.
Somebody got to change the water and all of that. So that in my mind is an interesting one, how they let it develop to the point that it is act. I'm absolutely delighted that the police have nabbed a suspect in the Ipan rape story. Just distressing.
Yeah.
It is absolutely distressing. And shots were fired. Still didn't get the guy's attention. He finally nailed him in a foot chase. But that story, it's one of those things. We all have women in our lives, and we want them to be free and know that they can go anywhere and are not going to be harassed or molested by people. And I'm waiting to learn a little bit more about this, because I'm wondering if this Pablo Yahoo, what kind of substance problem he has.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I've already made up my mind that he's got to have something bad going on. He's living there and raped this woman at the place.
What's even sadder to note, now we know I'm new here, and when doing some research about Guam and figuring out where I wanted to move my family, no less than 5 different places that I looked for information gave Guam a bad rap on sexual crimes.
Yeah. Oh, well, pick up the newspaper.
Yeah. I mean,
pick up any of the stories.
The world knows about it. That's our reputation here when people look.
CSC, criminal sexual conduct cases, they're just all over the place. If it's not some kind of ice head story that we're floating around with, and it's that kind of story. And I tell you what, I cannot imagine how I would feel. And now, I'm a 2A guy, right? Second Amendment. I'm a 2A guy. I'm not what I would consider a gun nut.
Right.
But there are an increasing number of places where I go where I will not go unless I've got a weapon on me.
Right.
And first rule of Fight Club is you don't talk about Fight Club. But I gotta say that this town does not feel as safe as it used to.
Yeah.
There's places that I like to go. I like to linger at, and I'm just not comfortable unless I know that if something happens and if some idiot wants to get in my face or try to do me or somebody I love harm, I need to be able to make sure that I can defend myself. Right? Because I'm too old to get my butt kicked.
Right.
And so if something comes up, I want to be able to react to that threat. And I can't imagine how this story would have changed if one of those women was armed, or if there was somebody else at that place that was armed. Now, you don't have to be comfortable with guns. In fact, I'm still, to this day, a little bit squeamish around them, especially if they're not in my pocket or in my wallet.
Yeah.
Definitely. So, but it won't cost you a lot of money. Take a gun safety class. Right. Go to the NRA website and just there's a thing that says look for a class, and you type in our zip code, and pretty soon somebody's name will come up, and you go take a class. And they've got classes now that are hosted and led by women.
Nice.
Who knows how to deal with that threat better? Talk to people who have to deal with that threat better than women. Who would you rather take a lesson from in gun safety? And like I said, so there's a lot of courses that are specific to ladies, so I recommend you take the course. And if it sounds cliche, but you know what? There's pink guns. You can buy a pink Glock if you want to. They have them in the store. They are for sale.
You can get a Hello Kitty holster, too. I'm just saying.
I got one. It's 9:51 on the program. What is it? Where was I?
I'm just not sure you look that good in pink, man.
I'm confident enough in my masculinity.
There we go.
It's a beloved cartoon character.
That's true.
For heaven's sakes. People all over the world. There was a Hello Kitty plane, for heaven's sakes.
The Powerpuff Girls, too.
Now, there's a show.
There you go.
Mojo Dodo. What was the guy's name? Where was I? I was gonna introduce the extra point. That's what I was gonna do. Did you want me to do? You want to take the break first? Okay. So I tell you, here's the small talk portion of the program break. I'll be right back with Jerry Roberts and the what do we call it? The performance.
Extra point redo.
It's an extra point coming up next.
I'm a working mom and could really use more hours in my day. Thankfully, my non-electric Kinetico water treatment system has simplified my life. It's easier to clean my home with Kinetico conditioned water. No more scrubbing tubs or wiping water spots. Cleaners work better and last longer. And all the Kinetico drinking water we want is right here. No more lugging home bottled water. All this, and I'm saving money too, thanks to Kinetico.
American Water Tech. Smarter water. Better water. Call American Water Tech at 649-2301 or email info@americanwatertech.com.
Manila, Osaka, Fukuoka.
Dreaming about your next vacation? With the FHB United Mileage Plus credit card, you can get 10% off on United Airlines flights from Guam to Manila, Osaka, or Fukuoka when you book your ticket by May 31. Book your flight on United.com at a United City ticket office or your local travel agency using promo code FHB18M. Visit FHB.com/UnitedFairSale18 for more details. Terms and conditions apply. First Hawaiian Bank, Equal Housing Lender, member FDIC.
Circle K has just made it easier to select products that are better for you and your healthier lifestyle. When looking for items that are low carb, low sodium, low calories, low sugar, high in antioxidants, or high in protein, just look for the easy to spot better for you labels so you can find these items at a glance. Come by and see for yourself. It has never been more convenient to fill up on anything and everything that are better for you. Circle K. Take it easy.
It's the Ray Gibson Show at 9:54, and at 7:20 in the morning, we do a thing called the Extra Point with Jerry Roberts from Guam Training. Today's was so good, we decided it was so nice, we had to play it twice. Here is the Extra Point.
I caught a list of buzzwords the other day on CNN, the words that we so often use in the workplace, but that people say we should all get rid of. I'm Jerry Roberts, and in my role as a public servant, I'm here to discuss proper communication and how we should end our addiction to these overused words and phrases. Next on the Extra Point. Yes, we need to hammer it out, to do the heavy lifting, to create a level playing field, to throw these words under the bus. We need to push the envelope and get with the program to create a win-win situation by grabbing the low-hanging fruit with workplace language, getting us back to square one. We need to recognize the elephant in the room, see things from the 30,000-foot view, run this important issue up the flagpole, and get back to the drawing board. If we work together, we can indeed take things to the next level, get up to speed, and avoid barking up the wrong tree. Never forget that there's no I in team. We've all got skin in the game. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. Let's leverage what we know and create the true paradigm shift we all hunger for. It's time to raise the bar, drill down, stay user-friendly, and take a deep dive into improving how we choose to communicate with each other. Work with me, and I'll keep you in the loop and develop synergy so when push comes to shove, we can wrap our heads around all this. To become the robust, client-centered, cutting-edge, data-driven, and dialed-in Hoosier Daddy organization that kicks you-know-what and takes names, we need to work smarter and think outside the box. It's mission critical that we make all these ideas actionable and that down the road, the bottom line will remain that we compare apples to apples and get the biggest bang for the buck. So we always keep the best and the brightest on our side. And cleaning up these overused words will make you sound like a boss. I mean, you the man. And you go, girl. You follow the best practices and see the big picture. I'll be there for you. I've got your back. So let's unpack this when we touch base and put boots on the ground, giving 110% and getting in the trenches. It'll be a new day with a clean slate as we proudly proclaim, been there, done that. I know where you're coming from. And in my humble opinion, it's all good. At this point in time, people will know that when we bring things to the table, we'll be laser focused. This ain't your grandfather's way of communicating. Let's level up and right size and make this a plug-and-play solution. We've got the core competencies to make it happen. Whoa, talk about the wow factor. I know, right? That's the extra point. Get out there and make something good happen today. Because at the end of the day, it is what it is. For 93 point whatever, I'm Jerry Roberts.
And the rule on a great bit is anything I try to add to it only takes away from it. So thank you very much, Jerry, and I hope you are happy with the encore performance of the extra point today. It's at 9:57 and change, and just a couple more minutes left in the program. I was thinking about a friend of mine that went up to Saipan and was getting recommendations from people on things to do and places to go, and a couple of places I've never been there, so I can't say, but the Shack and Naked Fish, specifically, I believe it was the Tatitas at the Naked Fish.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Was worth hunting for the next time that you find yourself up in that part of the world. So getting ready to close things out and get out of here. I thought. And my nephew, RD, is going to be graduating. I think he's got the highest and most degrees you can get from the University of Guam.
Wow.
This weekend. In fact, on Friday, and they're going to be graduating. He and 406 other people are going to be graduating. Nice. And so the question, and if we get a chance, maybe tomorrow, Uncle Robert, to find out how to get into the field house, because it's kind of tricky when they've got a crowd that big that is going to be graduating from the University of Guam. Even though it's at the University of Guam, field house should be able to get about 4,000 butts in there. It will crowd up very quickly with people, and so I don't know. Is this going to be one of those years where they're limiting the number of folks that can come in? Is that what we're going to be doing? You know, in some places they sell you tickets to the graduation. You want to go in there? Yeah, visit Eventbrite.com and see what they've got to say. There was, speaking of Eventbrite, there was a friend of mine sent me a link. Let me see if I can find it real fast. Friend of mine sent me a link to the free. Remember what we say about free, kids. Millionaire Success Habits Revealed. And you can get your tickets from Eventbrite. Again, it's free. I guess they just need to be able to account for it. But she sent me this link, and she says, you know, you should really think about attending this. And I wrote her back, and I said, I've already made my million, sweetie. I've spent every single solitary penny of it. But I'm working on my second now, so I already got the habits.
You know what the millionaire's secret is?
Show up early, stay late, all of those things. What's that?
Make $1 million and don't spend
Don't spend
much.
Every single penny of it like Ray Gibson did, and then you can be a millionaire. I gotta go. I don't count my riches in money anyway. The radio station is KUSG. Hagutnya, The Point. That's what you might know us as. It's Monday, so we're going to have a collection of some cool weekend shows that will play here. Right Wing Bomb Throwers back on the radio tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Again, KUSG Hagutnya. This is The Point for Michael and Kevin and everybody else around here. Thanks for listening. Catch me tomorrow.
Full court press for and against the Iran nuclear deal. I'm Steve Rappaport, Fox News. Britain's ambassador to the U.S. meeting with White House officials and members of Congress this week in a bid to keep the U.S. in the agreement. Israel's prime minister still urging President Trump to pull the plug.
Benjamin Netanyahu told journalists that an agreement that enables Iran to keep and hide all its nuclear weapons know-how is a horrible deal. He said it must be fixed or nixed, warning that if nothing is done, Iran will have a nuclear arsenal. He also told his regular Sunday cabinet meeting that Iran has delivered advanced weapon systems to Syria that could be used to attack Israel. Iran's President Hassan Rouhani today said that if President Trump pulls out of the Iran nuclear deal, it would be, quote, an historic regret for the U.S.
Fox's David Lee Miller in Jerusalem. Two former intelligence officials saying Gina Haspel is preparing for her confirmation hearing Wednesday as the